This is Paul Frazier again from Western Ohio Bigfoot Research, and I have tonight with me John Montoya and April. And I'm just going to let John kind of talk about how he got so interested in the Bigfoot thing. He has a Facebook group called Midnight Squatchers, which we'll talk about that here pretty soon anyway. But go ahead, John. Just talk about how you're
Sure.
interested.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Monterey Bay, California. It'd be the Santa Cruz area, Santa Cruz Mountain area. But my dad he was an avid outdoorsman, loved to fish. We lived right on the ocean, Monterey Bay. Loved to go hike the trails and get down to a nice fishing spot and throw off the rocks. Kind of dangerous, but he had apple orchards. He managed and worked as a head receiver and fish and game commissioner for 18 years. So he was always involved with something. Bicycle tracks. We had 3 of them, but we were always outdoors. I mean, we didn't spend too much time around the tube. We had stuff to do.
Yeah.
So, growing up, my mom used to read the Fate magazines and liked all of her horror flicks. And I was a kid that built a little fort under a chair and peeked through my fingers because I thought that werewolf, back in the 50s and 60s was going to get me. But I grew up around, the 70s and late 60s, 70s, I was a kid. But in the early 70s, I started seeing a little bit of the Bigfoot lore on TV once in a blue moon, and it always intrigued me. Once, I think I've seen a couple books back in the 70s. There wasn't much literature out. They had the Bigfoot, and I was in more to UFOs, ghosts, Loch Ness Monster, because I read a lot of my mom's Fate magazines, and as a kid, I'd look through pictures. So once the movies came out, I was very interested, in a lot of them, even in search jobs back in the day. Of course, they had the Patterson Gimlin film there, Legend of Bogey Creek. That was that one really hooked me because I used to go hunting, and some of that movie where he's hunting down by a creek with a gun, that's the way I was at 11 years old. So it freaked me out after watching that to go back out on the 6,000-acre cattle ranch my dad owned and hike around some of them creeks and mountains, and that was always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Am I going to run into a big hairy creature? But the movies, and I heard a few reports from the area. That's what really got me intrigued in the Bigfoot lore. I've always been into anything that goes bump in the night, but Bigfoot was kind of my forte after that. I just thought there might be something to this. I mean, big hairy creature out in the woods. Back then we thought it was an ape, I mean, I didn't know, John, and but we went by what we heard on TV. Now I think that's totally different than what I thought back then. And I think it might be a subspecies of human or something, but no, they're very smart because they've eluded us for many years.
Yeah. You ever see that movie Last of the Dogmen?
I have not.
You haven't?
No,
it's not Dogmen like the cryptid. It's the name of a tribe. I don't want to give the movie away, but it's a good movie to watch. I don't want to tell you too much because I don't want to spoil it for you. But
I'll have to look at that one and check it out. I will.
I think it's Tom Berenger. I think Tom Berenger is the main character, and he's a detective cop.
Okay.
I won't tell you a whole lot, but yeah, you should check it out. It's called Last of the Dogmen.
Now, was that made later, or is it a newer?
I think it was probably made in the late 80s, early 90s, somewhere in there. Yeah,
that's when he was kind of doing a lot of different movies. He was kind of active a lot back then.
Yeah.
But I'll have to look that up. Thanks, Paul. If I had a pen, I'd write it down now. Maybe you can send me a link after this on the message.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to go ahead and bring up some pictures you sent?
Sure. Yeah, sure you can.
We'll go ahead and do that. All right.
Okay.
We're clear at the end. Let me back up to the start.
Yeah. That's just a picture.
That's a good picture. That's a good one.
Yeah, too bad we can't. Well, personally, I can't look like she looks like that.
Thank you.
I need a lot of Bondo on my face to make that look like that. This is just quick doodad I put together.
I was going to ask you if you made these or.
Yeah, I was playing around at one of our events, and I thought, geez, if I can get a scan code and make this, I actually made a little poster flyer out of this, so that way they can scan it. Because I have the Midnight Squatchers on our flag we put up in front of our booth, but never thought about adding a scan code where they can scan with their phone and go right to the site. So I'm learning as we go.
Got to edit the keep at Squatchy or at Squatchy instead of it.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah,
edit
that we will do.
Make them. I was going to ask you if you have like a shirt. Do you have shirts made like this?
She's wearing one right here. I've got one. I've got a couple. This is my main one. Well, if you can see it right here, this little, backwards, that logo right there. It's kind of our main forte, but we do have several different shirts and some older ones that were prototypes. They look cool, but I'm sticking with that red and orange and white kind of black theme.
Yeah, that's a nice logo there. I like it. I might have to get a shirt from you.
Thank you.
I'll send you one. Don't worry about that. That right here is one of our first logos that I just liked. I just kind of like the looks of it, and it's still on my hat here. And that's kind of our main logo. That's kind of what we go by. But I do like a couple of the other ones, and it can always change.
As we said, this is his Facebook group, so look him up on Facebook. You can join this group, Midnight Squatchers.
Yeah. And that's a structure that I found that was interesting. I know a lot. Some of the smaller ones I think are bushcraft. This one was particularly big and large, and it was built heavy. And it was in the middle of nowhere, and I thought that's kind of odd, But I had to take a picture, and actually, I've been back to that spot, and it's no longer there. It's been knocked over and pushed over. But it was up for a good couple of years, and then it just looked like something went through and threw it all around. So very interesting. That was I had to get a picture of that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's good you got inside. It gives you a scale of how big it is.
Yeah, I mean, you could stretch out in there if you laid down from one side to the other, and it was very comfortable, and you could probably fit about 3 people in that.
It's just hard anymore to know whether, it was somebody getting ready to try out for a loan or.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he got evicted and had some hard times and said, "There's my structure. There's my fort."
Yeah.
And that's another one we found in the snow.
Okay, I was wondering if that was a different one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different one. It's more of a TP style, just piled together again. I don't know. I just started finding these in different places, and I thought I'd take some pictures of them. Some of them, like I said, look like bushcraft. Others, and I have several pictures. I've got some that are huge. But
could you see if any of them were sawed off, or were they all broken?
Yeah, the ones I found that were sawed off, I didn't really take a picture of. Most of them looked like they were piled up from just branches laying around. Some of them looked like they were twisted off. Them were the really interesting ones because it's just people twist off branches and pile them up like that.
Yeah.
And that's a footprint that I believe I found. Of course, I'm using my phone. That one I found down by a trail, and there was one. It was crossing the trail at an angle, and it was interesting because I think I wear a size 10.5 to 11, depending on the shoe. And it's not a very big foot, but the stubby toes and the feet, I thought that one might be something that could be Bigfoot or Sasquatch related, but it's just interesting, what you find when you're out in the woods.
Well, it looks like that ground is a lot like a lot of the places I've gone around here where it's really hard, like almost like concrete. You barely even make an imprint when you walk on it.
That's exactly how this was. It was just solid, almost like cement. So, but I was lucky to even see some, little toe marks in there. But like I said, the stuff that I bring up, I can't say, hey, it's 100%, Bigfoot related, but it's all evidence that I try to collect and bring out. And I've had a couple people tell me on this particular picture that it really looks like a footprint, that what we all think may be a Bigfoot. So
I was going to say, I bet you $100 you could take your shoe and sock off and step there and you wouldn't see where your toes were at.
Oh yeah. That's why I did put my foot there as a comparison, because I know if I had I got a white foot, but it wouldn't feel that. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying that the weight, I don't think you would make enough of an imprint to see where your toes were or anything. That
I after I took the picture, I tried jumping up and down with my tenny, and it was just rock hard. There's just no way.
I can tell looking at it. That's pretty solid.
Yeah. So like I said, again, it was interesting. And that's another one that we found. And these are different types of year. We're out in the forest when the weather, prevails and it's nice. Not tomorrow when we're going to get 10 inches of snow and 40-mile-an-hour winds, but we try to get out and we find different structures here and there in different areas, between Wisconsin and down by Spring Valley area, Harmony, just different places in that driftless area, that little, section that we kind of investigate and research a lot. And there's amazing stuff you can find out there.
Is that outside of Minneapolis? Is that where you're at?
We're down by the Iowa border, kind of Wisconsin border, down that corner, southeastern Minnesota.
Okay.
There's a lot of caves. They actually got two Forestville Cave and Niagara Caves down in there, and you go down about a mile underground. I've been on the tours before, and it's just beautiful underground waterfalls. So we're in the area. The property we get to research, I know the landowner and a few people around, but it's all private property, and they all got, some got 100 acres, some got 10, but they're all brothers, and it's been the family, for generations. So we can go on any one of their properties to research, but I kind of keep it to a little section because there is about 500 acres, and there is a lot of animal life. They've, seen mountain lions out there, which, they generally will leave you alone, but I don't trust wildlife or wild animals. I've been catching a bobcat. I caught him back there. He squealed at me one night when I was out there because we have an area we cleared out last year, and I think it was April or May. And we went down about a half mile and cleared out this half moon section in the forest where we could drive down because there's, ATV trail there, where we could drive down, park our cars, and we made 4 camping spots. Big ring, dug out a pit. Took a while. It took us about 2 months. It was just all woods and thorns and everything, but we made it look nice. So now we got a research area we can drive down and camp and then walk down either to the cliff or down to the riverbed. And it dries up every year. It's and there's a lot of there is, they think, a cave on that property, but it's real rocky, hilly, streams. It's a perfect spot.
And there is one thing to look for, like, because like Mammoth Cave, they have a lot. They have if you see sinkholes where there's like a little crater in the ground, that's a sign that there's caves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know in this area there's a lot of stories of people having their livestock disappear at times back in the day, and that's how they found some of these caves. When we cleared out that section, there's a big rock that sits maybe about a foot that comes up and down, right almost in the middle by the pit where we, light our fires. And I told the guy, how come after we cleared all this out, we didn't even think about using our cell phones? And well, cell phones don't work too good in that area. So I told him, I hope they're seeing a giant mound with hollow caves underneath, and one day we're all going to sink down in there because our phones won't get out. You can walk about 100 foot in any direction and you start to get bars, but right where you want to sit by the campfire and hang out, the phones go in and out. Mine don't get out at all. Hers will get maybe a bar once in a while, but I go, we didn't even think about checking the phones before you clear something out. They always work down there. So very interesting.
You reminded me, since you were talking about that, I posted a story. It was on Sasquatch Chronicles, and the guy was in Iowa. And I don't know if you remember this story, but you said it reminded you of a report you took. I think you said it was in Iowa. The story on Sasquatch Chronicles was this guy helped his, I think it was his brother-in-law, helped him move all day. They were going to be renting a house out in the country, and he spent all day with him.
Oh, we froze up just for a minute.
Okay, I thought I lost you. Anyway, they spent all day helping him move out there, got everything moved, and they built a big bonfire. And it was I think in March. He said it was pretty cold out. And they had a fire going. It was getting dark, and they were sitting around the fire. And this big oak tree just started shaking. And, I mean, this thing had huge branches on it, and it was just branches were cracking and falling off. And they saw it then, and I think it roared at them, but they were so scared of it. I mean, they ran into the house and they wouldn't go out at all.
Now, where was this? Down by Iowa, you say?
It was in Iowa, but I don't think he really gives any specific
That
location.
might
But
be. That sounds very familiar because that's the story that is almost to the T of where we researched right across the road. Well, I'd say about a mile down because it kind of winds in different areas and farms. Where a guy had a similar incident where they're having a big brush fire, size of a car,
yeah,
and same thing. And he said he's had the property, but I think it's 80 acres or 100 acres, about 10 years, and hunted it, never had no issues. And one night he was sitting there with his 10-year-old son, and he heard something again thrashing around, just like you said, thrashing around the forest. And he thought it was maybe a bear that was coming through because once in a blue moon they do get them down there, or who knows what. And in the brush fire was really bright, and he heard some weird screams, and he couldn't make them out. And he's been hunting all his life, and this thing popped out, and he said it was about 9 foot tall, which was about the same size what I seen back in the '90s, mid '90s. But it popped out and it screamed at him, and he could see its face and everything in the glow of the light. And it picked up a log that was there by the edge of the forest. And it came out of the forest in the clearing there by the edge, and it tossed him at him. So it sounds very similar.
yeah.
And
He said that.
yep,
I'm
and he
sorry.
picked up his son and I guess grabbed him and ran in the house with him, or got him in the house. And he had a gun with him out there, but he got in the house and closed it up. And he said the thing was thrashing around for about 20 minutes, and finally it left. And we went out in the morning. He didn't want to go out. He went out in the morning. And he looked over by the edge of the forest there. Oops, there you are. This is down our research area. And I want to talk to him, and I know his name. I won't say it on air, but he got 17 3/4 inch footprints. And I don't know how wide, but
Hmm.
the neighbor said he's seen the pictures of them. So that's what really got me down in this area. But it sounds really, it might be the same guy, but just saying he lives in Iowa because he's
Well,
right by it.
he estimated it at 10 foot tall because he said that he noticed where its head was to the one branch, and
Right.
he said that the next day before they left, he got in the back of his truck and stood up, and he still couldn't even reach the branch.
Wow. Yeah. It sounds very similar, but I think it might be two different ones, but similar incident. I mean,
Yeah,
it's almost spitting. Now, the area where we research, there is around that area, there's a couple stories um, on the Bigfoot mapping project, and also the BFRO site down by our area there. And they have reported seeing probably about maybe 5 miles out from where we research. Um, there's two sightings and one footprint found. And then you got this other guy that had a sighting, like you just mentioned, something throwing something at him. We were out with Dan Nadrello. I took him out and introduced him to the people. He's going to come over us next year. Good friend of mine. And they were deep frying everything. I mean, whatever you wanted, it was just a big party and people were deep frying. I don't care what you had, they deep fry anything, but good stuff. But I was talking to the guy, and his name was Ben, and he told me, yeah. I go, you ever have any sign? He knows I'm down there. I see him all the time. They're in the family. His dad. He goes, now, I know what you guys do, but I was going to tell you something. And he kind of has an accent, country accent. He goes, but he told me that is when they were selling out the 10-acre lots, which I know a couple of friends now that own them now since I've been out there. I go down their land too and hang out. They were taking pictures. I think this was back in the '90s, if I remember right. But they were taking pictures, and there's a dam down on the other side behind another guy's property, which I've been on. And I go, damn, I've been out there, never seen it. And he goes, well, it's all overgrown now, but it's where the river winds, just kind of a little bellied out like a dam. And they were snapping these pictures. And on two of the pictures, he thought he'd seen a bear because it looked like a big, something black, big, kind of all kind of crouched down or something. And then the next picture, it's upright. And again, he said it was about 9 or 10 foot tall, but he thinks about every bit of 10 foot tall. And it looked like a giant hairy gorilla standing up. So I told him, really? So I was interested in that. And I could talk to this guy anytime I want. So I told him, if you find that picture, I'd like to see it. So now there's a new area that I'm thinking of trying to get in there. But he said, good luck. He goes, it's really overgrown. So we had a hell of a time cleaning out the area where we research. I mean, we were getting stuck, thorns through my gloves. And what do you do? Sometimes you're cleaning stuff, you go to grab and you get one of them pricks in your finger through them thick gloves, and it wakes you right up. And farmer goes,
Yeah.
"You didn't learn yet, did you?" I said, "No, I didn't." But it took us a while. But now, with all these reports around that area, it's a hot spot.
Hmm.
So we're going to continue to research. And I've got some strange looking pictures where you got like a hare or something close to it. One of them I know was a squirrel. One was a raccoon. A couple of them, I don't know. I just can't tell you. It don't look like an animal. It looks strange. So again, they're close to the camera. But I'm just going to keep leaving them out, see what we get.
Are you familiar with Darby Orcutt? Have you ever heard that name?
No, I haven't. Not.
I think he's from North Carolina, I believe, and he works at a university, and they are starting to do. They're wanting any kind of evidence you might find that might have DNA. They want to do tests, and I don't think they charge. I think they're just asking for people to submit. So if you find anything that you think might be squatchy and
Right.
have DNA, that's a place you could check in to send and have it tested.
Right. Yeah, I know it's not cheap. I know Doug Hijack real well, and I know he puts a lot of them different plexiglasses out with different colors because they're attracted to blue and different colors. But they say when you get one, it's real greasy. When they do get one, it's just like a white greasy. I've never really seen anything like that. I do have my own objects and different stuff out there. I know that the peanut butter jar that we had out there that we leave kind of just slightly closed, and we put up our campsite. So we've been gone now for about 2 months, not camping down there. And I put it up in a tree where it's in there pretty good. And one time I found it knocked over. I said, maybe a wind came through or something hit it. So I put it back up. So we went down there before it got snowy and the rain. And that was about a month ago. And I went to look, and I didn't see it was daytime. So we're cleaning up the campsite till this year. And I looked all over, and it looked like something big, a couple prints going up and down to the ravine, to right where we camp. I put my tent right by the ravine, and it goes down to the creek. But it looked like something had made its way through there. But again, inconclusive. I can't say anything. But that peanut butter jar, we circumference about a 50-foot area through weeds, looked around, got stuck a few times, said a few cuss words, but I did not find it. So did an animal take it? It's always a possibility, but it's just strange. It's totally gone. So we'll have to put some more up there and keep an eye on it. Someone told me, why don't you put a camera up there? I'm like, I only got like 20 cameras, and I got 4 running now. But when you start paying the bill for all these trail cams, it's not cheap when you put a lot of them out,
Yeah, just the batteries are pretty expensive anymore.
Yeah, I think I paid $10 a camera to have them out there to get the live feedback. So if you got 20 of them, that's $200 a month. That's like another phone bill.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it down to 4 or 5 in good area and decent areas that have a lot of action, and then put the other ones out periodically,
Yeah.
But yeah, that picture right there, I had a couple of researchers, well known, and they said that looks like a print to me. And I said, I'm leaning that way, but again, to me, it's inconclusive. I didn't see him make it, and but yeah, it's an interesting print.
It looks like toes for sure.
Yeah, it's just the ground was so hard there, so it's just strange. It looked out of place to me. And me and April, some of them trails, we'll just hike up through the thickest stuff and get stuck and make our way through and get up to the top of a hill and take some pics and work our way back down.
Have you ever found any that you cast?
The only one I casted, I had one that was in California. Cast, it was about 16.5 inches. Unfortunately, through my first divorce, I've been through 2. My yearbooks, that cast, and everything else disappeared. I think the only thing I got out of the divorce, didn't even have my house or a boat. I think I just got my Levi's, a stereo, and a VCR, and stayed in my mom's room for a little bit.
Oh.
So unfortunately, that was gone. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really did too many casts around the area. I've been trying to photograph. I wish I had a LiDAR machine, because that thing would, scanner, that would really look nice to get.
Oh yeah, especially in the snow. I think LiDAR would be the way to go. 3D
but again,
printing.
it's money. I do sell and fly a lot of budget drones. If you look behind me, I used to have 120. I think I'm down to about 40, but I keep replenish them. And I do got one right now that I really likes. I do fly a DJI, but for someone that wants to try that and utilize that and uh, gravitate and get that into their research, if they want to try that, some people are against that. I think it's a fine tool myself, but it's
Oh
my
yeah,
personal belief.
I've
But
got
I've
a
got
Mavic Mini.
okay. That's
I've
what
got,
Yep, I got that one.
and I'm really aggravated with it because I think it's a software update. Ever since I did an update, it won't work now.
Really? Now
It'll
I've got the
fly,
same.
but
I
the
got
camera won't
right.
connect.
Okay, because I got a Mavic Mini, Paul, and there's a new one out and they're refurbished and it's a year warranty and they're called the Atom SE. I'll send you a picture of a link. I just bought an extra one. I took that out of our research area. The Mini works great. Mine still works great, but I wanted to try it out and I think I can put these. I do sell a lot of drones to people. I think I can get these and really stand behind them. They have firmware updates. Again, it's called the Atom SE mini drone. It's the same as a Mavic style. They got one with a 3-axis gimbal, one without. I bought the one without. It's a little cheaper to try. And they'll go the 2.5 miles. I had mine out to try it about 2,000 feet out. Didn't break feed. Beautiful 4K. The Mini has 2.7. These are 4K. So it's a great asset to take out with me. And I'm going to get the 3X. I'm going to get the 3X's one now. And I've got two of the, and the other ones were great. I mean, they got stabilization. You don't even need the gimbal really. Just when you're flying, you get that FPV look like an airplane does, but it's steady stream. So
Well,
yeah, that
especially
I
in the
recommend that.
winter. Yeah, in the
Right.
winter you could look for footprints, in your area before you even, just get out of the car and check the whole area before you even start walking. So oh yeah,
Right.
there's footprints over in that area, so I'm heading that way. So
Right.
save
And
you a lot of
I
time.
always carry a jacket on me that got pockets like Inspector Gadget, so I can fit all my stuff in. And even my FLIR, I got the older, well, it's a mini FLIR, as I call it, but it's I can't remember the brand now. I know it by heart, but it's the same size of your cell phone. You fit right here on your chest. I've been out with the Sea Squatchers, camping with a couple of them and hanging out, and they've seen a lot of my equipment, and so did Dan Adrello and other people. But all my equipment, it ain't the big giant FLIR that you carry. All mine compacts into 2 duffel bags about the size of a basketball where I can get in and out of an area because I like to camp out and get down in the nitty gritty for a couple of days and stay out there. And I don't want to be dragging a lot of weight with me.
That's what I like about that Mavic Mini. You can just shove it in your pocket.
Right. Yeah, they're
pocket.
great. They're great.
Yeah.
I know that the Mavic 3 has been having little issues as far as people flying them, crashing them, but the Atom SE, that'd be a great one for this type of research. And like I said, when we're done here, I'll send you a link and a picture to that. But you can get them on sale, refurbished right now for about $140 out the door.
Oh, wow.
So that's very budget friendly.
Well, I looked into sending mine in to have it looked at. They charge $100 just to look at it.
Yeah, I know.
Not doing anything, just looking at it. Tell you what's wrong.
I have a friend that had one, and he had some issues with that. Thank God mine's still working, my Mini, although I've probably flown it about 12 times. I even put the landing gear light so it floats down and sends the light straight down. I got all kinds of attachments, fast charger. I got 3 batteries. But the Atom, I'm still selling drones. I told her I think I can get the Atom with the 3 axes be same as a Mini. It goes about 31 minutes. When I got now, just 25 and a half each battery. But I think I can get one for about 300 plus tax out the door, which I'm going to probably get here pretty shortly and sell a bunch of other ones. So, but yeah, that's a great one. But California style, I want to get back on the Bigfoot side a little bit.
Yeah.
California style, the California side, there were so many reports in my hometown. I lived in Watsonville, California, growing up all my life. Moved to Minnesota in 2000. And that area of California, it's the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's the start of Santa Cruz Mountains, thick in the redwoods. Just beautiful. There you go. That's a picture of our mountains. That's where the earthquake hit in Loma Prieta is just not too far up from our mountains. Our mountain's Mount Madonna. The next one's Loma Prieta. That's where the earthquake hit in '89. It rocked the heck out of me because it was centered in our mountains. And the ranch I hang out in, That's all pictures of the area where I research. And like I said, they're just little roads. You can drive out there, you can get stuck and probably you can take a walk and just disappear. I mean, they're just nothing but woods out there overlooking the ocean. But I've roamed them woods all my life, as a kid, and there's a lot of reports. One night in the mid 90s, well, I'll break it up to that. My second wife and I was always out in the mountains since the 80s, hanging out. We were teenagers, get a couple girls, guys, go out and hang out, listen to music, and always into the Bigfoot, always have my eyes open. I've heard screams and stuff like that, but I wasn't into it as much as I am now. I just was kind of like, yeah, they might be out there, whatever, who knows. But now that I look back, they probably had a lot of them probably watching us at times.
Oh, yeah.
But we were up there one night in the mid 90s, my second wife, and we had pulled off to overlook the ocean. It was a clear moonlit night. You can see all the bay and the lights. It's just beautiful. And it was probably about 12:30 at night, and so I'm a late nighter, and we sat there, cracked the beer open, and we're sitting there overlooking the ocean, and we went there within about 5 minutes, and something went poof, and it scared the hell of me. It hit my window on my driver's side, and we were on a road that would curve around this mountain up here, then it drops down, in front of us towards the ocean. So we're overlooking this on a little pull off. So whatever threw it came from my left, and I just turned on the radio because it was on low. I go, what the heck was that? So I seen a dirt mark on my window, and I opened the door, and I heard some rustling. When I looked up on the hill behind the car, the rock didn't come from that area either. There was one of them pine bushes, big trees moving a little bit, and the rocks were coming down, hitting the road because it was almost straight down there, like something had been standing there. And I found a dirt clod by the car door. It looked like the size of a softball, but it was broken in 3 pieces where it hit the window and left that dirt mark, kind of like a bird would hit the window, leave feathers. And she goes, do you see anything? I said, she didn't want to get out. She was spooked. I said, no. I go, but the bush was moving up there. I want to know if somebody's messing with it. And I thought, but that don't make any sense. How can they throw a dirt clod and make it like a boomerang and turn around and hit the window? So I started getting this uneasy feeling. Like, you get that feeling like something's watching you, or you're not supposed to be there. And I've been up this spot many a times. And I never forget how bright the moon, it was just a bright moonlit night. I mean, it looked like someone had turned on a light outside, and real pretty. And I didn't ever see nothing on the side where that rock came from, but I felt something was there. So I didn't stick around too long. I might have maybe 1 or 2 minutes looking around. I got in the car. I was kind of freaked out. I go, I don't know what it was, but we're not staying here. So she goes, I want to go anyway. So we backed up and got out of there. And that was one incident. We had went camping down at that park too one night, a few months later, and everybody went to bed, and there was a group of us, 3 couples, and had our kids. And I'm a late nighter. I stay up late. So I sitting around the campfire, and I heard some scurrying, and I got spooked. So I'm sitting there staring at the woods, and here comes a raccoon. Now, okay, it's just a raccoon, nothing to get freaked out about. But it's still, when you're by yourself by a campfire, every little noise gets to you after a while.
Yeah.
So, and I'm right by the edge of the redwoods, and it's a big cliff going down. And it goes all the way down about 1,000 foot, down this ravine, just slowly up and down mountains. So anyway, about 20 minutes later, I heard this howl, and it went on and on, kind of like that, Ohio howl, which you're familiar with, kind of that moan, like a whoa, and it just went on and on for about a good 30, 35 seconds. And I thought, what the heck? And I already knew and heard different Bigfoot sounds by then in the mid 90s. So I was a little more familiar with them. And I thought, holy cow. And it would sound like about a mile down there, but you could hear it, it was down in the valley. And I went, holy cow. So I was going to wake up people. I said, no, they're sleeping. I don't want to bother them. So I kept my ears open, but I was spooked. See if I heard anything, something coming around. If you hear, I never heard nothing. I went to bed about 2, had a couple of beers around the fire. Never heard nothing, but I was spooked out a little bit because I was looking around. Them redwoods are tall and they're dark, but didn't hear nothing. Never see nothing after that. But we did take a hike the next day, and we went down about a good 8-mile hike. It took us half a day to get down where we wanted to because it goes all downhill. And we came out by a trout stream, and But we stopped, looked around, and I remember in this meadow about halfway down, there was this big teepee structure. And it was almost by the edge of the woods, and it was about a good 75-foot little meadow. Just a little meadow that cleared out by a trail, just a little patch of just no trees there for some reason. But I remember seeing that big teepee structure, and it looked like the ones we've seen, but ours looked small compared to that. Had to be about 12 foot tall. And my friend, he was from Mexico. He didn't speak too good English. His name was Rodrigo. And he goes, JD, you think that Bigfoot, you know? I said, no, I don't know. I go, I don't know what it is. I go, hobo? I said, maybe. He goes, make it that big? I said, I don't know. So he goes, do you want to go look? And I said, no, I'm okay. We can just keep walking down the hill. I had my little boy with me and his dog. And I just thought, yeah, I ain't going to walk through brush up to my chest just to get to it. I wish I would have now, but back then I said, nah, it's in the middle of nowhere. There's a lot of mountain lions in them woods, rattlesnakes, a little bit of everything. So, you never know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
And I was just in the mood for the hike. So you put all this together, and you fast forward to 97, a couple years later, and I took a friend of mine, George, out, and we were roaming the woods all where you see them pictures way up. And it was nighttime, again, a bright moonlit night. There's some of the trails, that's the woods. And then, you get them pictures up in the mountains. You can roam all them woods for hours and hours. But we're coming back down from my mountain, going back down the Gilroy side. And we got to a little bend in the road where there wasn't a whole lot of trees. It was sparsely. And the moonlight was just shining straight through, going up the hill there. And I pulled around the bend and parked my truck. I had my own business, John's Auto Glass. I was in the glass trade for 20 years. So I decided, why make everybody rich? I can do this on my own. And I did everything with glass, tabletops, houses, no matter what. So I had my work vehicle, John's Auto Glass, had a little camper shell where I used to tuck the windows in, but I'd pull that rack out and then we'd use it. And I had put a chest where you can open siding windows. So when we're going down the back roads, I can pull out a coal when I have one. When I'm going down the hill, there ain't nobody out there. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And we pulled over because we had to use the restroom. And I remember parking, and we got off. And right before we say something, we're doing our duty, and he's probably about 5 foot away from me. And all of a sudden, he was looking up, and I looked at him, and he's pointing. And this guy don't stutter. And he's like, and he's trying to call, my nickname's JD, and he's going, I looked at, what's wrong with you? And I looked up and seen this massive, and I know it's a Bigfoot. At first, I knew what it could be, but maybe someone messed with me, maybe. But there was this 4 foot wide, 9 foot tall, what got to me to this day was all shoulders. It just was like shoulders with a little bump for a head, just like it was, almost didn't have no neck. And it was sitting there swaying back and forth. I can see it from about the waist up, its arms every now and then you can see a little dangling. And it was backlit from the moonlight coming back down. And I just looked, and I didn't know what to do. I had about this much of my long neck butt bottle, sipping on it. And I remember I just went, hey, and I threw that beer bottle uphill, which went about 10 foot. It didn't go very far. I just clang, clang, clang. When I did that, this thing stopped moving. And then I said, okay, this is something I'm looking at in my mind. I'm trying to process this. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. And then it started grunting and started swaying again and grunting. And then it started moving down towards us. And I thought it was moving down to me. I don't know, but I heard crunching. At that point, I made a beeline. Didn't run, but I walked very fast because I thought this is an animal. If I run, it's going to chase me. Common sense. So I walked back to the truck, and I'm freaking out. I never thought I'd see anything like that in my life. I thought, yeah, I believe in it. Chance of me seeing one in a million. When I went to turn around, though, my friend George, he was gone. He was already in the truck. I didn't know he had left me. I didn't even hear him run. I was fixated on this creature that I still don't know what the heck and how big. The size of it was amazing. That's what the shoulders. My dad would take me a lot of wrestling matches. He knew a lot of them and the promoters. He'd help out. And I met Andre back in the early 70s. He'd come up to me, go, little Montoya, and his hand looked that big. Yeah. This thing made Andre look like a midget. It was huge. And I got in my car, shut the door, started at stick shift, and you can only go about 10 to 15 miles down the road. And you can't go very fast down them. It's a 1-lane road. If a car comes, you're gonna have to back up till you get just enough till you can squeeze by. So you're in a real desolate spot too, just narrow roads. I just made my way down the hill, didn't look back, didn't even realize till I got about 20 minutes down the hill that whether this thing was following me or not, I didn't care. I just wanted to go, and I was just gonna look straight, and hopefully it won't chase us or do whatever it does, which it didn't. But I had left my window down, didn't even know it. That's how freaked out I was till I got down the hill. I'm like, that was stupid. I had my window open all this time. I looked at him. He didn't say much to me. And he goes, oh, shoot. He goes, I forgot to zip up my pants and everything's still hanging out. He goes, that freaked me out. I'm all wet. And what the hell was that? And I said, I guess it's a Bigfoot. Is all I say. He goes, they're real. I go, yeah, I guess they are. I go, I never thought I'd see that. So we got the heck out of there. After we got down the hill, we took off. Till this day, I went down a couple times after that in the daytime, but at night, I even took her down there a couple times at night. And once you start to go down there, it is dark. It's a long road down. I can't go down that road. I can go anywhere in this world, but that one road, I try, get maybe 3 car lengths, I turn around, and I get out of there. Before you could turn around about maybe 100 feet. Once you get past that, you either go or you got to back up all the way. So I still can't go down there at night. It's like having PTSD. I just can't. After seeing that, it spooked me. Now I can go anywhere else and do my research, just not that area. It's weird.
Well, that memory's still there, so
yeah,
I can understand that.
Now, do you know Danny Perez of Bigfoot Times?
I know the name, yeah.
Yeah. Now he wrote an article about me in Bigfoot Times here. I'll have to send you a little short, but he had told me. Yeah, he had told me. This would be April. He wrote about me. That's me in there, but he had told me before. I told him about my story, but he did not tell me his story till after he took mine. He didn't want to contaminate it. He had told me he was with a friend of mine, Mark Rook, from the Felton Bigfoot Discovery Museum up in Felton, California, up past Santa Cruz, just the next town over. And they had went out on Aptos, and after I told my story, he didn't want to tell me anything till after. He goes, well, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. And we had started talking because I'm a big Rams fan. And 2 years ago, he lives down in LA, and he's a Rams fan. And we were going back and forth, who's going to win the Super Bowl, and we think we're going to win. And then, of course, they did. And after I told my story, he goes, how far is Aptos from your sighting? I told him, about 18 miles. He goes, huh. I go, I got a cousin that has 110 acres out in the mountains. It's beautiful, redwoods and overlooking the ocean. He goes, I'm going to tell you my story. I didn't want to tell you until I heard yours, but they had went out, him and Mike Rug, and I guess 2 other guys, which I got to read the article to remember the names because I don't know them. But they had went out there to check out a Bigfoot nest, supposedly, up by the apple orchard somewhere on the mountain. And it was starting to get dusk, but they went out there, and while they were looking at this, looking at it, and they were out in the middle of the road, they heard this metallic or a symphony of different, it was like a scream, I guess, or a howl. It was like just a whole different symphony of different sounds. And it was something they never heard before. I guess it was, they said it just sounded like different than any wildlife that they know of. And they're very, very keen on a lot of this stuff, especially the Bigfoot lore. But they all heard it, and I guess one of them recorded it. Also in that area, I had told him, and I think he knew about it, but Mike Rug had recorded something on video, which he showed me in April, and it looked like it was in black, of course, night vision, kind of like black and white, but it looked like a creature eating an apple, kind of squatting down, like the Land of the Lost back in the day, like Chaka, how you squat, and then it stood up and just lightning speed took off through the apple orchard. They were trying to film it. So Danny had told me about, in Aptos, this is where we've seen this. And they looked, and the nest was just a pile of brush, so it never was a nest. But they think that sound, that whatever made it was watching them. And, it could be possibly a Bigfoot, but it was different than anything they ever heard. So that was interesting. Mike Rug had showed me that film, and also showed me I don't know if I sent you that little print they found. I don't know if I sent you that. I had a bunch. I was going to send them to you earlier, but they found a little print that I held, and it's weird because it has the thumb kind of, or the toe kind of out like this, and there's a little walnut sitting in the middle, so it's like a little bump in the middle. But I got a chance to look at that, and it wasn't very big, maybe 10, 11 inches, but it was interesting. It kind of looked like it didn't look like a typical Bigfoot footprint from California. It looked more like like an ape or a chimpanzee, or the little digit hanging out the side.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting. And he also had someone had brought. We had seen it, a picture of it. Someone had found a jawbone, and that wasn't animal bone. This looked human. It was a jawbone, but the problem was, you see a human jawbone, even if you feel yours, it's not very big. This one was about 3 times longer than a normal human jawbone.
Hmm.
That was interesting. I got to see that picture, and I wish I could have snapped a picture with my phone, but back then, this is probably 2014, 15. I think I had a flip-up phone that had a real nasty camera on it. It didn't work good. But he told me that the sheriff office got word of it and took it from them. He said, I don't think I'm ever going to get that back, which is a shame. I don't know if he ever did. I haven't been up there since 2018. So back when COVID hit, I was suffering from chronic asthma and bronchitis and COPD. Even though I'm out in the woods, I take enough medicine to go with me and nebulizers in case I'm out there. My doctor's a real good doctor. He goes, I'll give you all the meds, and something happens, I already know your wish. You just want to be by a tree and stay out there. But when COVID hit, I refrained from flying. So it's been quite a while. I think we went out. Last time I started flying again was 2021. I went to Gatlinburg to a couple conferences, met Huckleberry down there, and hung out with Steve Squatchers, who I knew. We had a good old time. Matthew Delp. But we, getting back to California, though, that jawbone was interesting. So when you add all this together, and I'm still taking reports now and before of Bigfoot stories. I know in that area where I seen that 9-foot tall creature, there was a lady driving that road, Mount Madonna, and she had seen something, and this is on, I think, the BFRO site, pop out and walk alongside the road and pop back in. Time she tried to tell her husband and look over, it was gone, but she said it looked like a Bigfoot. It just popped out, kind of came out along the road for a minute and popped back in. This was at night, probably October-ish. I know my sighting was in September, so I don't know what it is about that time of the year, but it just seems like it's a good time to have a Bigfoot encounter. And yeah. I don't know why that's September, October, fall. Maybe they're out trying to get all they can to eat. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But it's very interesting. Yeah, that's from that's down in our research area, and I don't know what that is, but I think I was down there trying to retrieve a camera that night about 4 a.m. and that's down here in the Driftless area, southeastern Minnesota. And the camera was being a bugger. I couldn't get the strap loose, and I was fighting with it, and I was getting kind of upset. And finally, I got off and started hearing something. And there's a hill up, goes up probably about 100 foot by me, and it's down by a dry creek bed. You walk on it, sounds like glass out there. It's kind of freaky at night. And I kept hearing something moving around up there, and it would, when I'd walk, it'd follow me. So I stopped and looked, and it was dead quiet. So I started snapping pictures. And on one of the pictures, I caught this. I don't know what it is. I can't say it is anything or not, but it was very interesting. It looks like something's there. That's about 10 to 12 feet up in a tree. But I started walking out of there, and I started singing, talking to myself, doing anything. I thought, if I make noise, hopefully if there's something following me, it'll leave me alone, because there is, wild animals out there, and it can be dangerous. But whatever it was flanking me for a little bit, going back up the hill, and when I was getting out to try to, and then I'd stop and I wouldn't hear it. When I started, it felt like it was moving again. It did that for, I don't know, maybe a minute or so, and then it stopped. But I kept talking to myself, singing. I don't even know what I was singing. I was just making noise till I got back up to the campsite, because I was by myself. And I don't believe in going by yourself. I like to at least have someone, when you're out in the woods, you like to have someone with you, accompanying you. There's a lot of people do like to go out in the woods. I don't mind it, but after that night, it kind of raised my hair a little bit. So I think, especially if I don't know the area real well. I mean, I've been out there, but there's still places I haven't. I think it's better to go in twos. That way you at least got another eye with you.
Yeah.
And April, that's she's in the background. It's just little stick structures or something you find out in the middle of some of the woods.
Sorry, I got back to the first set of slides, and before we'll go back to California here in a second. I was just going to finish going through these. These are in your area, right?
Yes, these are.
Which I think these are on the next set of slides too.
Yeah.
And this is the last one on this set.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I don't. It looked like a faint print there, but I couldn't tell. It was kind of by. That's in our area. That was by a little den I found with some dead animals around there, and by a creek. So it was very interesting. That's also
it looks
where.
Big.
Yeah, it was wide. It wasn't real. I got a picture somewhere of my footprint. It was maybe 13 inches, not real big, but it was wide. It was stubby and wide. It looked odd. And that same area, it's not too far from where we live right now. There's a pond there. Now it's they hunt there. It's a little state-run wilderness area, but it never was before. So it's just in the middle of nowhere, and kind of locals would go there and fish. And there's a little spring-fed pond there. And me and her's been going there. I met April in 03, and I've been going there before that when I moved here in 2000 till this is last year's first year I haven't been out there but once. But we fished there till 1, 2 in the morning, catching catfish or bluegills or whatever, and have a couple beers, a little bonfire. Once in a while I hear an animal here and there, but coyotes, nothing. About 3 years ago, we were out there, maybe 4 now, and it was about 10 at night. Started getting dark, and it was summertime, and you still see a little glow. And I always bring a little radio with me, or Bluetooth, and I had to hang up a tree, and I turned it low. I said, "Well, I think I'm tired. I'm gonna get ready to go home. We'll clean up our mess and little night crawlers in the water because I catch mine out back anyway, so it don't matter." And we're packing up, and then I go, "We'll leave your line in until we're ready to go." So all of a sudden, I heard something running. It sounded like on 2 feet going, boom, 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 boom. And the trees were cracking and moving. And there's a trail that goes and then opens up maybe about a 4-foot to the water and about 12 foot wide. Little section where you can fight yourself to a little trail. So you got to squeeze through the brush, and then it opens up to a little area you can fish from the pond from. And it's a pretty big pond. And so there's a little area there where you could, drive in there if you had like an ATV, and that's where I heard this thing running. And it's not too far from where that footprint was found, but it sounded big and it was fast. Whatever it was just motoring. And I turned down the radio, and I heard it going out, and it went towards a field and must have disappeared where the cornfield was. Because but I looked at April and I said, "What the heck was that? It wasn't a deer, because it's like it was running on 2 feet, but it was big, and it kind of shook the ground a little bit almost." So I don't know what that was. It was strange. So again, do I say it's Bigfoot? No, but it spooked me again. And I don't get spooked very much, but when you start hearing these weird noises, and I thought it's got to be someone, maybe it just sounded loud. So I discounted, probably just someone out there. So we packed up, and you got to walk about a quarter mile back to the car, and it's only about maybe a 50-foot little area where you can park. And I had found this a couple days before that, and I went ahead and went to get to the parking lot. We were the only ones there. There was nobody else there. So that really had me a little unnerved. And I said, "Well, that's crazy." So we got in our car, started and left, and as you're going out, there's a couple farmers fields. So I was kind of glancing, it was getting real dark, but see if I could see anything, maybe running around or do anything. But nope, didn't really see much. So that was very interesting. But that's where that footprint was found, and like I said, we found a couple animals. Found a deer, a raccoon, and unfortunately someone's pet. I don't know what it was, but it was a dog, one of those black 40-pound chow chow dogs, are real furry. It looked like his neck was twisted. So I don't know what did that. That was unnerving. I told April, I just, when we were out there, I go, if there's something out here, I don't want to piss it off if it is something, because if it's doing that to animals, what's it going to do to us?
Yeah.
Get on the wrong side or something, But so we're keeping an eye on that place. Yeah, there's us in Monterey Bay, California.
Beautiful area. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to fish. If you go down by Big Sur and Carmel, it gets a little more rocky, but it looks similar to that. But you'd have to walk. I'm talking a couple miles to get down them trails. That's before you get to Big Sur. As you go up further, but this is a beautiful area. That's Monterey, beautiful area. Carmel, up by Point Lobos. But if you go a little bit past, that's where me and my dad used to fish. And actually, South Squatch Chronicles you were talking about, I think it's episode 510 or 520. He has a lady talking about where she's seen them creatures on the beach.
Claire.
That's right.
Claire.
Yeah, that's why I used to fish all my life. My dad, we'd go out there at 4 or 5 in the morning, and he knew the tides. He run the shark derbies, fish game commissioner, and I'd be out there all the time, just hanging out. Never seen nothing, but that was interesting.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting. But yeah, it's a beautiful area. There's Mark Ruga, the Felton Bigfoot Discovery Museum.
Okay.
Very knowledgeable. He could talk about anything: UFOs, ghosts, Bigfoot. I mean, this guy, he's a professor. He knows everything. I mean, all them books in there, he'll pull one out. Great guy. He'll talk to you for hours. I don't know. I know he was having some health issues. So I've actually got to reach out and see if I can find out if he's okay. But yeah, he's just a wonderful guy. And that's his museum there, the Felton Bigfoot Museum. We went up there. That's the day it was closed. I went up there and they were closed. Went back a couple days later. We were spending 2 weeks out, and I finally caught him. But he was closed. I think his wife was having a procedure or something in the hospital.
So this is in near Monterey. Where
that's in Felton, so it's up by the Santa Cruz Mountains where I had my sighting. It's if you're familiar at all with the Monterey Bay or Santa Cruz area, it's like a cove there. It's where Jacques Cousteau used to film a lot of his stuff back in the 70s, but the bay there. But so my town be Watsonville, and if you go to the north, it kind of curves around, and that's where his museum is. It's right past Santa Cruz. It's called Felton. So it's really he's got nice casts. He has a little room. You can turn on a light and you see 2 real life-size Bigfoots, one sitting down by a tree and one standing up, female and a male, that they had orchestrated somehow for many years. And it's about 9. Each of them are about 9 foot tall. It's very interesting. But he has some prints from around the area. Like I said, he's a mountain of information. He's been doing this for many years. But that's a great place to be.
It'd be interesting to talk to somebody like that.
Yeah, that's Pinnacles National Park. That's going the opposite way from Santa Cruz in our research area. I just put that one on there because some of the areas, that was a hell of a hike, and some of the tunnels and caves and stuff we went through there. I mean, you're literally on the edge of a cliff looking down about 500 feet with a trail that's only about 2 foot wide, and you got about a 20-foot section of scale to go across, or you got to take another 1.5 miles back down the mountain to get around to where you want to go. So I tried one area. The next area we couldn't make. I said, I'm not doing this. I know I'm not scared of heights. I used to put windows in all my life, been up on houses, but I'll be 59 this year. This was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And it's something about heights now. When I look over that cliff, it just gets me a little shaky. So,
I ain't going straight down.
Yeah.
You got more sense in your old age.
Well, these trails up here, Paul, they're just literally like the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner. It's just on a cliff going around, and there's no ropes. It's just, they have signs out. You're on your own.
Yeah. You're at your own risk.
Yeah, exactly. So I decided, we're going to take the bunny trail back. And that's still
back to the scene here.
Yeah.
But this has the pictures you were talking about of the deer. And
that's found that sitting next to the water there. I thought I sent you a picture of some other stuff, but maybe I missed it. I was in a hurry earlier,
You did
but
send
that
a raccoon.
yeah, and this I don't know. There was something in one of the pictures there, and I framed this one because I don't know what that black. There's not a stump there. I've took other pictures. It's just I've got other ones I should have sent you. It shows it before and after, but it's this is the same area where I found that footprint that looked wide, where that deer, where the dog, a little structure, and I don't know what that is. I just
Well, it
don't
looks
know.
large, very
Yeah,
large.
it's definitely large. I don't know if that's a bear coming up out of there or is it the elusive Bigfoot? I don't know. But right where that black spot is, there's a trail that goes around. The creek kind of veers off to the right, and then the pond that we fished off would be a little bit to your left there. So it's, the creek is right next to the pond. So that where that black figure is not is almost right where I found that footprint, almost right exactly at that spot.
All the
So
sandy footprint.
yeah, right. So that's
This,
why there was that one. That if you where that footprint was found is almost by where that whatever that object is by the river. So
hmm,
because
it
there's a
looks big.
trail right where that black thing is going in there. There's you go maybe 75 feet in. There's a little trail that takes us to the pond. So if he was to go straight in, he would have been right where that print was. So it's interesting. It just
Yeah.
it's not definitive, but it's very interesting. And there's a coon I found sitting in there, and maybe he didn't get to it or whatever didn't get to it, but died of its own natural cause. It's funny how they're all were in one spot, kind of right next within a 10, 12-foot radius.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that I don't know what that is. It looks like a little overhang with some brush or something put on it, and it looked like something was laying under that. So just and that's in the same area. So it's strange. Yeah, that's something I caught on my trail cam and said, someone needs a haircut. I don't know what that
Yeah.
is.
It's interesting. I mean, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's just all my cameras I put up about 5 or 6 foot in the air. Some of them I bend some twigs and camouflage them, and others, they're put back. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is. It just popped up, and I asked my friend. I go, "Were you down by the camera?" No, I haven't been out there when this was taken. It looks like someone's head or something, or
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. He goes, no, I wasn't up there. He goes, not unless one of the farmer kids were up there. I said, but nobody's been out there. I go, huh.
Hmm.
So, and I've got a lot of different strange pictures. Maybe we can do this again and shove some of
Yeah.
them pictures over to you. I just rushed and put a couple here and there, but I've got a lot. Believe me,
Yeah.
there's
Love to
just
see
so
them.
many. Yeah.
Talk about them.
Now I want to let April tell you about her incident when she was up vacationing up. Was it Georgia?
Georgia, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
I'd love
do.
to hear it. Haven't heard anything from her yet. She's been pretty
I've been
quiet.
battling. I'm cutting her off.
It's all right. I can
You
wait.
guys go. Yeah, I'll put this over here where you can see yourself a little better. That way? It's this way. There we go.
Well, we were coming from Minnesota to Florida, but we had a pit stop in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So it was real late at night, and it was storming and raining and everything. And we're going to this timeshare in Georgia. So we got there about 7 o'clock, and we went down this long road. I mean, just really long. I don't even know how far, but it just took us all the way, and it was all gated. And we went to get our key, and we got our key out and stuff, and we got to our cabin. Well, we got there, and it just started smelling really bad. We thought that someone forgot to take out take the garbage away. Maybe got behind. So we got into our cabin, and it was still storming out and everything, and we got in there, and my boyfriend at the time went to the bathroom to shower and do whatever. And I'm sitting there texting my mom saying I'm here and I'm okay. And all of a sudden, I hear these shutters, and they're just going back and forth. And they start, and one went, and then they, went open because of the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this dark, big, wet, red-eyed creature.
Right by the window, huh?
Yeah, when I was, because up on the patio or whatever, and and he was just right there, and I don't know how big he was, how tall, but
Yeah.
I seen it, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden he just like keeps staring at me. So I look back and like this back and forth, and I look again, and then all of a sudden my boyfriend comes out. So the Bigfoot left, and he looked at me, and he goes, "What is wrong with you?" And I said nothing. And he goes, "Oh, there is something wrong." And I said, "Well, the shutters are banging." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to go outside." And I said, "I wouldn't go outside if I were you. Just, well, what did you see?" And I said, "Nothing," because if I told him what I saw, he would have thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
So he went outside and looked around, and he goes, "There's nothing," and he shut the shutters or whatever, and and I was quiet all night, and he goes, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "I'm just tired."
Hmm.
And basically that's all that happened, and then the next day we got out, saw nothing, went and looked around for a little bit, and took off and went on our, next timeshare, blue green timeshare in Florida. Yeah, and hung out there. It was Daytona Beach. We were hung out there for a while, and that was it. So
Did you ever tell him or?
no, and the thing is, JD, we were to, yeah, we were. I was we were dating for about maybe a month and a half.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about Bigfoot and stuff, and he asked me if I believed in it. I said, yeah. And then he was telling me his encounters and everything, and I'm listening, and he goes, "Have you had any?" And I said, "Well," and I said, "Yeah, I have, you know." And he goes, "Did you tell anybody?" I said, "No." He goes, "Why?" "Because I think I'm nuts. But since you told me yours, I'm going to tell you mine."
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
we make a pretty good team together. She's totally blind in one eye, so at least we got three eyes out there. We tell her.
Yeah.
But I know one time we were up when I first met Abe from the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team, Abe Del Rio. We went out with him and Bill, who was on the team at the time, and his wife, and they took us out. And it was a rainy night, and I mean, I tore up my car a little bit getting out there. If I'd known, I'd have hopped in with him in his 4-wheeler. It's 4x4. And he goes, "Sorry, man, I never been down here when it's like this." And we went way out this loggy road in the middle of nowhere till it bellied out. But I had a little Chevy Sonic, and I was going through mud puddles. They were 2 foot deep, and the floorboards moving. And I get up on another 100 foot. I would have never went in there. I'm lucky I got in and out. And the branches, you couldn't even open your door. They were almost to the car. So, but we got out in this area and had stopped. It was just misting, and we walked out in the area. But I never forget, we had to climb under, trees. There was just really no roads and get out. We went about a 1/16 of a mile in the area, swampy area, where they had reported up in Reamer, Minnesota, where there's a lot of reports, home of Bigfoot. And we go up there every year and have our booth and hang out and know all the people there, so it's kind of fun. But when I first met him, I remember April was trying to crawl under, and it was overcast, and them woods were blacker than you closing a closet door and trying to stare. It was horrible. We had a flashlight, but even then, you could see where you're going, but if you look around, it was just black. And I remember April had stepped on a log, and she went down. And then she gets, "You okay?" She goes, "Yeah." And they were worried. I go, "She's blind in one eye." So she really, and she does pretty good, even though she hit one log. And them logs, if you hit them and they roll, you're going down,
Yeah. Yeah.
But we got out there, and that night I could have swore we were out there for about an hour, and about half hour into it, we swore we heard a grunt. And me and one of the team members on Abe's team member at the time, we could have swore we'd seen something kind of going back and forth real quick like that. You know, I better move this back over here. Excuse me. But we weren't really totally sure. But it sure looked like that. So we sat out there about a half hour and then nothing else happened. He had his flare, Abe did. But I had to tell you a story because April, even with the one eye, she was doing really good. She's a trooper. But we get out. She usually runs the metabolic ear for us, and I'll run some flare. And I got a guy, the farmer's guy, that comes out with us, Adam. He'll run my night vision. I have my son comes out with us. It's mainly me in April, but when my son comes out, or him, or whoever I can get, we'll get them on the team and go out. They're kind of like part-time team members. So, and usually wherever I go, I'll have someone that can hook up with us, and we'll take them out. So we got a couple people we can hang out and put in the woods. But most of the time it's just me and April. We'll just navigate them woods and get out there and hang out. And we go together though when we're out there. I won't leave her at the camp and I go out or anything. We stick together. And we have more people, then we can kind of venture out a little bit away. But I do not like going by myself, especially after what I've seen. I'm not out to prove to anybody that they exist. I know they exist. I just like to bring some, like I got this footprint here from Click, it's out of Texas, and that's a pretty big footprint. Yeah. And this was, I believe, 2016 or 2020. And I bought this off him because I thought it was interesting. I got quite a collection of prints, but this one you can really see the toes in it. And that's from Texas. I think it's about a 16-inch, but it's interesting. You get the mid-tarsal break in there. But I'd like to go out and get some prints myself. I wish the ones I think I've seen, it might have been, if they were deeper, I would have cast them. Yeah. But it's hard to cast them when they're just light like that.
I just got this one at Salt Fork. It's not real big, and it could be a person.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But the toes do first time casting, so I was pretty happy with.
Yeah, I like that one. That one.
But
yeah.
But
what size? What size?
This was in October, and so it's pretty cold out for somebody to be out barefoot in October.
Right.
And it was in some deep mud. I don't know, but it was good practice for me anyway. And
yeah. Someone's out in October. I don't know if I sent you one. I have one that looks similar to that with toes. It's in the water. And I don't know if I sent you that one, but that one was. No, I didn't see it. Yeah, it looks human like that one, but again, it was about 12 inches, so it's a big foot. But again, it was at the time of the year where, who's gonna be walking out when it's 30 degrees in mud? It's like the real temperature's like 19 now. It just don't make any sense.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Shane Carpenter, Randy.
I know them. I know them.
A lot of the ones that they found that were from juveniles, they look very human.
And I know that. I've seen their Dan Nadrello. I don't know if you know Dan Nadrello.
Yeah, he was out there with them.
Yeah. He works with them quite a bit. He's a good friend of mine. In fact, I told him I was going to be talking to you tonight, and he's seen them, and he showed me a lot. He has some that I don't think people have seen that I got a peek at, but they're very interesting. They look very human-like. Yeah. So the one that I've seen in the mud, and it was getting real cool at that time. It wasn't frozen yet, but it was getting that cool. It doesn't make any sense for someone to be out there walking in the mud like that. But he liked that
private property. So
yeah, he liked that footprint, and I told him, and he thought it was interesting because of what they found over at the what they call it, the 400 or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But I told him, to me, just personally, I just think it's a human. Maybe someone's on crack. I don't know, but maybe he's out there walking barefoot. It doesn't make any sense to me. I get that, but for me, I'm still. I guess I'm still in that old school. From California, I've been up here 24 years. We get that stubby toes and the wide foot and all that good stuff. I mean, this one I got right here, it's got toes, but it doesn't look human. I mean, let's see. There we go. See, it's still, they got that kind of square look to it. But the ones that they catch they're quite human looking. And I'm thinking that maybe some of these are just a different species and they're more like us than we know it.
Well, I think Shane was saying that he thought their foot changes as they get older, but when they're young, it looks very human. And then as they get older, it kind of widens out and
Right.
doesn't look human.
That's a very good possibility.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of like when we get older, your nose kind of, I think everybody growing at it, your nose gets a little bigger. I know mine has.
Yeah.
But it's different traits, and it don't matter what it is. I know Dan Nagello, on one of his posts, he put up on, and I always thought bald eagles, they were brown. Maybe after a year they turn. He put on on one of his posts how it takes almost 5 years to get that full whiteness to the head. And I don't know if you've seen that.
I commented on it because I always thought they got their color within a year.
Me too.
I didn't know it took 5 years.
So, again, who knows what to say on animals, how they change over the years and evolve into what like a bald eagle would be. I thought, after a year, they just lose all that kid feathers, the brown. And I used to raise pigeons as a kid. I was quite good at it. I had rollers. I don't know if you heard of rollers. They spin in the air. And I had homers. I had show pigeons. I had archangels. I had 75 pigeons. So going to high school and coming home and had 3 12 by 12 by 6 foot tall coops. I'd raise them and sell them. I'd get $50 a pair. I got real good at it. But it's amazing how they change though. From you get different colored species of pigeons that are show. Some are archangels or burgundy with black wings. Some are got feathers on the feet, the English trumpeters, but they all got different traits. And when they're born, some of them change as they get older, and it takes a couple of years for them to develop that. So it's just interesting, So who's to say that Bigfoot? You're right. Maybe they got a foot that looks very human-like until they get older. That's interesting. It's a good possibility. So what is your take? What do you think? What do you think a Bigfoot is? I'm just curious. What do you think they are?
Well, for a long time I went with the Gigantopithecus thing, but the more I've researched, the more I just toss that completely out because there's too many reports that they look human.
You know what? You're just about the way I am because that's the way I thought. It's just a Gigantopithecus blackie ate, maybe it evolved, got a little smarter, evolved, the brain a little larger. But yeah, I think they're just their own subspecies, like they say, subspecies of human of some type, own language. They're smart. They evade us all they want in the woods. They may have different, who knows? Their nose might be different. Are their sight, their hearing, their sense could be heightened more than ours, where they could be like a bear. They can sense us a mile away. Who knows?
Well, they definitely seem to be able to see better at night than we can. That's for sure.
Yeah, they know that when we're sleeping, kind of like Santa Claus, they know how to travel these creeks and elude us. They know we're out when we're not, so they can be out there. I talked about that. So I think that they use the rivers as just like byways and highways like we do. I mean, we got a creek about probably a half mile from my house, and I heard a scream for the first time 3 years ago out there. It sounded like a lady getting murdered, and I know that ain't happening. We got a town of 550 people. I doubt there'd be someone out that way. But and there's a few farms and stuff, but it went on for almost 30 seconds, probably about 24, 25 seconds. I told April, I go, that was strange. It just, I've been here in this town for 23 years and never heard that,
Well, I live close to Dayton. I'm about an hour north of Dayton.
Okay.
In Dayton, there's 3 rivers that comes in close to Dayton in that area. And there's been a lot of sightings outside of Dayton, in the outer areas, more out in the country. But that's what it's populated. There's a lot of houses around. It's just mostly farmland and woods. That's what's around here. And a lot of sightings, and I'm convinced they travel those creeks all the time, the rivers, back and forth through populated areas at night. You never know they were there.
I agree. I mean, there's been sightings of them in rural areas and urban areas. So I mean, lot of people
Right.
think they got to live out in the middle of the woods, way out in the middle of nowhere in Alaska or the Pacific Northwest. That's not true. They know how to navigate pretty well between towns and know when you're not there and when you are. They know we're away at night. They're smart. They know. That's
Well,
not to
that's
say they
something
don't sell themselves in the day.
I want to try this summer. This coming summer, I want to try going out and just drifting down the river. Like I got an inflatable raft. I
Uh-huh.
think I might try it with that. Just drift down the river. Just be real quiet all night, or late at night, 2, 3 in the morning. Just drift down the river. See if I'm
Yeah,
not making any noise or anything. Good chance I might stumble on something.
right. It'd be like a balloon in the air floating over.
Right.
That'd be really quiet. Although you wouldn't catch me in a balloon. I don't know. Me and heights don't agree no more. I get up on my roof and I got a 1-story house and that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
There's something about that. I don't know what happened. As many windows I put in my life, you think that wouldn't happen. Even at the edge of a cliff, sometimes you get up, it just gives you that little EBGB feeling like, yeah, I don't know about that.
I think it's as you get older, you realize you're not invincible, but you think you
Yeah,
are when you're
that's it.
when you're
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. We had talking about floating down a river. We did that down in Wisconsin. It's called the Apple River. I don't swim very good. Now that I worked for 7 Up 8 years when I was up here for a while, and I caught my rotor cuff. So I got out of that and got about 80% of that back pretty well. Took me a year and a half. If I didn't just get over that, and 6 months later, 2 years into getting this healed, I tripped over my Nepco in the garage, went up about 2 feet, came down, hit the back of my car with my shoulder, and then bounced
Oh
off,
man.
hit the ice to the yabba dabba do and fell down and just smacked my nose up. My arm was sticking out sideways. I couldn't even bend it down. I thought I'd get it back in. It was hurting like hell. She picked me up. And after 3 hours of being stubborn, I even took a shower, my arm sticking out at 5 more. Said, take me in. And they x-rayed and they said, they looked at me with their eyeballs like, how the hell did you sleep like that? And I go, why? They showed me an x-ray, and this right shoulder that I just fixed, the ball of it was cracked in half, opened up, and it was hanging down 4 inches away from the socket where it went into. My whole shoulder was crunched, and my bicep was the reason my bicep looked all balled up. So it had snapped off, was hanging in there. So they
Oh
had to
man.
reconstruct everything, and I got a lung issue. I never did swim real good, but now I'd probably have to use my left arm, which I'm not good at. But we went out. I went out even though I was like that. And the guy said, oh, the river ain't that deep. It's a 3.5 hour tour. We'll float down in inner tubes, bring our coolers, have a good time. So he brought his motor home. We camped out. And it was Memorial Day weekend. I think it was Memorial Day weekend or Labor Day.
Labor Day.
The last day, it was raining, thundering a little bit. And it was only like 63 degrees or something. He goes, we're going to go. I said, it's cold. Okay, I'm game. Let me have a couple shots of Fireball, get warmed up, and I'll try it. But it better not be deep because I don't swim good. Oh, no, it's about 3 or 4 foot deep. So we get out there. They take a bus. They drive you out there, and you get down the river. And she says, well, you guys are only the 5th group so far today that wants to go out and bear this. Right, I go, we're going to try it. And I had my little shorts and skimpy white legs in my water shoes that they had because I didn't come prepared. So I was wearing some oversized ones. And right when we got to the river, I stick my foot in and it was cold. I mean, I don't know. It felt like it was like 50 degrees to me, but I was like, really? I don't know about this. I'm going to call it, just come on. So right when we got in there, I mean, I was just shivering and trying to take another shot of Fireball to kind of warm up or something, and then it started raining. It was well, we're in now, so we started floating down, and that was a long 3 hour tour. And it only rained for about 20 minutes, and then it stopped, but it was cold. But once you get in there and you get a little buzz, unfortunately, it kind of starts to go away.
Yeah.
But I went to feel down the river a couple times. I go, with my oar, I go, you said it was shallow. He goes, it is. He kept doing that. And I looked, I go, bullshit, And anyway, that was a long 3 hour tour. And then we got off here and there. People were on the side throwing beers at us. You guys, is it cold? I said, hell yeah. Take a beer. I know they were throwing Natural Light, Olympia, whatever they give me. I had my own.
Yep.
I didn't need theirs, but I caught it and I threw it in the bush. But yeah, it was a 3 hour tour, but it's cool cruising down there. You're just floating. And
Yeah.
I had a radio and had my phone in one of them cases, so they don't get wet. But yeah, I think that would be ideal. I mean, I've been out on the West Coast where we take a rubber raft down the river out there, and And it's just if you just lay back for a minute and just it's peaceful. You hear wildlife, and a bird coming over, but that'd be a way to sneak up on anybody. My dad, again, he was a fish and game commissioner out on the West Coast for 18 years, so he was over all the game wardens. But they had some people with catching steelhead before they go out to the ocean. They were coming down, and they were using these big giant gill nets and catching them illegal. So they got a couple canoes. That's why I'm kind of correlating this with your story. And they snuck down there, and all of a sudden they opened up the floodlights, and they caught them on the banks, and they all got arrested and a hefty fine. But that's a good way to catch somebody. Just sneak up.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story you remind me of. Went canoeing, me and my wife, a few years back, out just south of Dayton. There's Little Miami River. There's a Miami River goes right through Dayton. And there's another river called the Little Miami that is a little bit east of Dayton. But anyway, we were going to go canoeing down through there. And you've probably been on some of those where you get on a bus and they take you upriver.
Yep.
And then they unload you and unload the canoes. You go back down to where you started. Well, right before you get back to where we started, the river bends pretty good, and it's pretty quick. The rapids pick up right through there, and you come around the curve. There was a tree that had fallen over into the river, so you had to really paddle your way out around that tree, or you'd run right into it. Well, we saw it. We started paddling. We got out around it. Well, there was this guy. It looked like he was from India. I'm guessing it was probably his daughter. She looked quite a bit younger, so I'm guessing it was his daughter. But, we're wearing life vests and everything. And they run right into the tree. It flips their canoe. And they both fall out. Well, she grabs onto the branch of the tree. And like I said, the current's pretty fast there. So she's hanging on this tree limb, screaming like she's, going to die. Her legs are going down with the current. She's hanging on. And he's walking over to her. And it's like up to his knees. He's walking over, got the canoe in one hand, walking over to get her, and she's thinking she's going to drown in that knee-deep water.
I'll tell you what, we did the same thing on a bus when they took us on air tubes. You got to drive up, and then they drop you off, and then I told you when we were there, there was one spot of that river that says, rapids ahead. If you don't want to go through, get off here. And the guy said, you want to go through? I said, I'm game. He goes, it's going to get a little bumpy. Yeah, well, it's only that deep, he didn't tell me. So we're going to these rapids, and they started picking up fast. My butt was just hitting them rocks and sliding on all that moss, and it was a good probably 500-foot stretch. I don't know, 300 hell, but we went for a while. I broke loose. We were all tethered together. They had a double one. April broke loose first, so I'm like, oh, we got to get her. And I broke loose, so I'm trying to get her, go after her. And the current had picked up really, and we went to go into deeper water, but it was still flowing good. And the current was still going, but it wasn't real deep, but it was just flowing, maybe 2-3 foot. But we had shot out like a rocket. So April was going, and it was pretty clear. So every now and then you get a little shallow spot. So she was trying to grab something.
I grabbed seaweed.
I was trying to catch up to her, and I'm oaring. Pretty soon, the current started spinning me around. And I'm a 245-pound guy. So next thing you know, I'm getting going and I'm trying to stop and I can't. And I'm getting about ready to get her and like that. And all of a sudden she had just grabbed a bunch of weeds and stopped. And I went by her.
Yeah.
I go, you okay? She says, yeah. And I go, I'm going to try to stop spinning. Well, I started just getting more and more momentum and I'm getting dizzy going, oh God. And I had a pretty good buzz one too at the time. So I'm like, help. And we started getting by campers and RVs back. We're almost back to where we're supposed to get off. I didn't know the river. And then it said, damn ahead. And I'm like, damn ahead. And I'm spinning. I'm like going, where am I going? I don't know this river. So I'm getting freaked out. So I'm about maybe 10 foot from shore. I'm like, hey, help me. And there was about a group of probably 10 or 12 teenagers, 16, 18. I go, help. And one of them told me to give me the bird and said, help yourself. And I was like, oh, and I tried to get at him. Then I'm spinning more and I'm getting really jacked. And all of a sudden, two of them go, oh, you really need help? I said, yeah. And they go, oh, we'll be over there to help you. So they came running down, and all of a sudden I started getting right by the edge, and I put up my hand, and they got me, and I stopped, and I was like, thank God, and I go, they said damn up ahead. He goes, yeah, there was a big net. You wouldn't have went over it, but you never know. And I'm like, well, I don't know this river. I go, I don't know this river. I just seen damn ahead, and I started freaking out because I'm not from here, first time on this, but I got off and I thought about going over and giving them kids a piece of my mind. There were about 3 or 4 trailer, mobile RVs down where we parked. And then I turned around and here's our campsite with the RV backed up, big giant RV, 30 foot or 24, whatever it was. So I went, hell with them, I'm good. So then they came floating. April came floating. They caught up to her, tied her on, came floating up. They go, you okay? I said, I'm fine, a little scuffed up on my knees and my rear end, but I'm good. So we dried out, had a bonfire that night. We braved that river, but them rapids, they took us right apart. I mean, they were really moving. So I'd go over them again, but I'd make sure I have a life jacket, some decent shoes, and
we got different tubes too.
We got a better tube. We bought one with a cooler in the middle, and then we got one for our cooler. It's just a 3.5 hour tour, so you're gonna have to. I'm a beer drinker, so you gotta have enough in there.
Yeah.
Be stocked up.
Yeah, and then the tube they gave me was so small. I'm all sitting on my knees, up here to my face. And I go, we're gonna pull over to go to the restroom. You just let it go. You're in the river. I go, that'd be nice, but I'm stuck in here so tight I can't even move. I go, oh, that's gonna work. But after a while, it worked. I did have to pull it aside maybe twice before everything got flown. But yeah, it was a fun trip. It was a long trip. And there was supposed to be bars open on the way where we're gonna kind of go up, so that everybody does. But because of the weather and everything, they were all closed. There was only one was open.
That was okay. They're throwing us beers.
Yeah, they threw us quite a bit of beer. I didn't really need any though. I don't drink what they drink either. Like I said, a couple of natural ice and light and whatever.
Our friend goes, I don't care, I'll drink it.
There is a beer called Spotted Cow over there. Whenever I go see Dan, we go get one. Or if I'm with anybody, it's delicious. It's kind of like an orange sandy type. And I don't like too much. I used to love different craft beers. I'm not into them too much, but it's got like an orange flavored. It's just delicious. It's kind of like it ain't a fruity drink, but it's got a little orange zest to it. It's really good. Mm-hmm. But you can only buy it in Wisconsin. It's got a weird name, Spotted Cow. Whenever I'm over there, I'll get one. But Wisconsin has we got a camera up there by La Crosse, and I'd never been to that side of Wisconsin. I met, Dan a few years back, so I went over there to visit him, and I met a guy through a guy out where we research who knew a guy that had a sighting. So he took us up, and I got Dan to come with us. And showed us some interesting area, and he had said that he had spotted one out there. That's where my other cameras is, up by La Crosse. It's on the Minnesota side, but I call it Wisconsin because La Crosse is right here, and then that area is right here where his ranch is. So it's just right across the river, but it should be Wisconsin, but the river separates it. So I call it La Crosse because it's right there. But he had seen one in this area, so we went down. We did find some little structures, me, him, Dan, and April. But he came up to this tree, and he said they bend over this twigs and snap them. It looks like a corridor, and you come through. And the tree looked like a hand. Let me go on this side. It's like this, like they had snapped off all the branches, so it kind of looks like this. And he said that he's seen one resting up there, and he thinks, and it jumped down and ran off. So he thinks what it does is it snapped them branches off and lays up there, and then when deer comes by, whatever, if he's hungry, he pounces down on him, which I don't know. Could happen. I don't know. Yeah. But it was very interesting. He just went up and moved my camera because the batteries were getting low. So he moved it about a 400-foot hill up above, looking over La Crosse there, facing towards the river. And that's where I started getting a lot of deer. And I caught something that looked like it stood up and looked. I don't know if it's a deer or could it be a squatch. I don't know, but I'll have to keep looking because I've never been up that area, so I can't tell the size comparison to the deer. Yeah. But it was interesting. I think I put it on my Midnight Squatcher page, but the deer was kind of looking around, and all of a sudden it like fixated, like looking, and then all of a sudden just bolted and was bolting out this. Let me see if I get the camera this way. Right in here, two eyes kind of popped up and was looking. They looked the same color as a deer, though. They're white, so glowing. They looked a little further apart. So I don't know. I don't know if we caught some of that. Could be another deer, maybe the angle, or it could be something else. I don't know. But I love looking at these cameras because it's like a TV show for me. I'll sit on my couch, especially in the winter months, because they'll go to about March, and then they start having fits. The batteries go dead and all that. I need to put solar panels up on them to keep them going indefinitely, with some rechargeable batteries. I haven't got there yet, but I want to make sure I got them in the right spot. Right now, where I got them at, I think I'm going to leave them there permanently on a monitor. But it's just neat. It's just like watching a TV show. I get a ping on my phone. I don't know if you have these type of cameras, but I started using it 2 years ago, and they are awesome. I mean, I get a ping on my phone and I have a little green dot that says Moultrie Mobile. Go to the app, look, and look what we caught. Like last night, I caught this bobcat that's been hanging around. So I've had my cameras out for about 2.5 years, and the last 6 months, I've been seeing a bobcat around. So he must be new to the area. I've never seen him there. And
it'd be neat to do like a live feed sometime, to have cameras set up where he could be sitting at home watching live what's happening in an area.
Right.
It's
right.
cool.
I don't know what that would cost, but that would be awesome.
Yeah.
This one it'll do like a 15-second video and then 3 pics, but usually all it will get is just that 15-second video. By the time that goes, whatever's there is gone.
Yeah.
So, but it's still 15 seconds of video is pretty decent. Like I said, I get pictures too, but it's like a little TV show for me. And I look at the top of my phone right now. I already got 2 more pics. Who knows what they are? Mostly deer. I've caught the bobcat, a lot of coyotes. Where we researched, we took a ranger down there one night. I had my FLIR, and the guy said he thought he found 2 dead coyotes that were torn up, laying next to each other, which is strange. But
Yeah.
he took me down across the river to a coyote den, and I did catch some. I might have sent you that. It looked like an amber eye shine as we were going around a bend by the river. Something moved and was going around, and we had heard a howl that night, a weird howl, but it moved around there. So I don't know what it was. I try to zoom in on my smart TV and look. It looks like something, but it's too blurry and fast. But it looks like amber eye shine, reddish amber eye shine. But we went out there, and he goes, "There's 2 coyote dens." We went in the middle of this. After we get out of the woods, there's some fields separating the woods. So we went down the middle of this, and there's a little tree in the middle of this farmer's field. And we drove up by, and he goes, "There's 2 coyote dens there." And it was night, kind of a half-lit moon. So I took my night vision and parked there and was looking, and I go, "I don't know." I see the holes. So I actually went up within about 10 foot of them and shined a light. And there was like a big hole about maybe the size of a basketball where they go in. And the tree's kind of on a mound. So they were there. He goes, "Get over here, you goofball. They're going to come out and bite you."
I told him that.
And she was too. I'm like, they'll be okay. They're more scared of me than anything. But that is their domain. But
That is
I shined a light, and then I backed off. And I was going, making noises. And then I thought, this is stupid. So I backed
You
off.
better.
And
It depends on how hungry they are. If they're hungry enough.
Oh.
So I backed up and went back. We were about maybe 50 feet from the den. I turned off all the lights. We were sitting there quiet. And we sat there about 10 minutes, had a beer. And I just waiting to see if I can see something come out. And nothing came out. So either they were scared of me or thought, "Who the hell is this guy?" So we took off and got about a half mile from there, parked to another area, and started filming. And you could hear them going, they were just howling. I thought, "They're probably mad at me."
Well, yeah.
And we were sitting there filming down another part because the creek's kind of split up and there's different ones. We're on another one, and all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, did you see that?" And he's got my night vision. I got the FLIR. He goes, "Point over here." Oh shit! And I heard something move, and he goes, "Did you see that?" I said, "No." And I took the FLIR, and then I finally, it was blinding me, so I just looked with the naked eye, and it's kind of dark out there. We couldn't really see it, So but you can see a little bit of a glow, and because it had like a half moon, and I didn't see nothing. He swore he seen something stand up and run off, and to this day he tells me that. And he's the one that found the coyotes. He has weird stuff happen in his property where the lights start flickering on and off. He has a little 10-acre spot next to where we have a research area.
He's a park ranger?
No, he's just he runs he used to be one of security guards at the airport, but he operates a crane down in Rochester, Minnesota. He's one of them crane operators on top of the buildings where he operates them big giant cranes. But he swore he seen something stand up and run off. So it was like I didn't see it, and he was like, "You had to see." I go, "No, I was using my FLIR. It's kind of bright, and it's a little handheld where you point straight and you see down like this, And when I looked over, it's a Leopold. That's what it is. Leopold little handheld unit. And I don't know if you've ever seen them. And when I looked around, it was so bright when you look at them colors that when you can't see it, blinds you for a little bit.
Right.
But he swore something, stood up and ran off. So very interesting. Right down the road from this area too. I don't know if you heard of Chad Lewis. He's a famous author, been on all them paranormal TV shows on TV. But he's a good friend of ours. And we actually meet him in Van Meter, Minnesota at the event. And this will be our third or fourth year going there.
Mm-hmm.
We set up a booth. But he had wrote maybe at Forestville Park, which is about maybe 10, 15 miles from our research area, of a story that, I don't know, it was the 80s, 90s, where there's these three guys camping at Forestville Park there. And it was kind of the off season, like late September, October, where there ain't too many people in the park, and it's heavily wooded. There's cliffs. It's where the caves are. And they were sitting there by a bonfire, and they had a little camper hooked up to a truck there, and they were camping, and nobody's in the park but them. And they were going on, just having a few beers, about 8, and then about 10:30 at night. They were by the fire, and they heard some rustling behind them in the woods. They thought, maybe someone's walking by or messing with us. And all of a sudden, a dead rat comes flying right by and hits by the fireplace. And they're like, "What the heck?" They picked it up by the tail, and here's this dead rat. So they just, threw it off and said, "Well, you guys, whoever it is, stop messing with us." They threw it off. And it was real quiet, they said. And all of a sudden, another dead rat comes flying up by the fireplace. So they thought, "What the heck?" Then they heard a little bit of a low growl, like, so they didn't know what to think. So they thought, well, whatever, maybe something's mad. So they threw the dead rat back there, and they said, "Let's just go in to the trailer." So they went in the trailer, and they were going to play cards and hang out and have a few more. They said about 20 minutes later, they heard something scurrying around and like a breathing and a grunting and something around the trailer. And also they heard a boom. And then the whole trailer started rocking back and forth, and it was coming back and forth off the wheels,
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, what the heck is that?" And then it stopped, and they heard a little grunting, and it went quiet. So a guy was cleaning the toilet. This is in the story. It's in one of his book articles, and I think they called it Hellhound or something, probably a dog man. But he was cleaning with one of them brushes, the chemicals where you clean the toilet.
Yeah.
So he was cleaning there while the other two were playing, and he goes, "I'm going to see what that is." So he had that in his hand. The reason I'm telling you this is because it goes on in the story. And he opened the door, and this wolf-like head, and I got a fake one right here, something that probably resembles this damn thing, came peeking in, and it scratched him. It had 3 claws that he's seen, and it scratched him right on the arm, and it ripped him open about, a couple inches. And he took that thing and swatted at it because all he had, and it let out a grunt. And the only thing they could think of later was the chemicals from the brush, but they hit him in the snout. And it didn't like that, so it backed up and he locked the door. And this thing was screaming and making wild screams and howls. And then it slowly, after 10, 15 minutes, disappeared. They heard scurrying in the forest, and it got further away. So they came out, hopped in their truck, and was going to take off out of it. They'll worry about that camper later. And about halfway out of there, this thing comes out in the middle of the road, and they try to swerve, and it jumped up and landed on top of their truck. And they say it looked like a werewolf. It's all they can think of. It was on 2 legs running and jumped up. So they goosed it, but stepped on the gas, hit the brakes, and this thing came rolling over the hood, and then it drove around it. Well, they weren't drunk or anything. They had a few beers. They went to the local police station there. And again, this is only 10, 15 miles from a research area. And told the police there, and they said, "We smell alcohol on your breath. Probably was just a bear passing through. If you guys don't get here now, we're going to arrest you. Just go home." And just kind of blew it off, So, but it's written. He has great books. If you ever look at his site, and I'm not trying to sell anything from. I don't read much. I'd rather watch videos and listen to people talk, or I talk. I love to talk, so I do sales and marketing. But
what's his name again?
Chad Lewis. Chad Lewis.
Lewis.
Lewis. Yes. His books are amazing. I'm hooked. I mean, they're little short stories, and they are just amazing. He's got haunted Wisconsin, haunted Minnesota. He's got all over Illinois.
His books are very
But
interesting.
they got a lot of really good stories. It can be ghosts, could be werewolf type creatures, Bigfoot, whatever. But whenever he's around, I try to go meet him at a library and hang out. I know we were down by my research area, and I don't mind staying there because they don't know where I'm at in Spring Valley, but Spring Valley, Minnesota. And he was down at the library one time, and I was sitting there listening in the front row. We're good friends, and I was hanging out. And all of a sudden, about 45 minutes later, it takes like an hour to get there. And hour 45 minutes later, I had a coffee before I went to kind of wake up. And I said, "Oh man, duty calls. I'll be back." And then I come back, and he goes, "Well, thanks for everything." It was already over because I took about 5 minutes because I'm just hanging out, looking at stuff. And then he goes, "Oh, there you are." And then April goes, "He was waiting for you." I go, "Waiting for what?" He goes, "Well, he says they were talking about Bigfoot, and he says you're the expert in this area, so he wanted you to get up and tell him your spiel." And I went, "Only when I leave does this stuff happen."
I mean, I know
It's the story of my life.
You know more than I do.
There was a story. I went, my hometown of Watsonville. I always call it Hollywood, but because a lot of people from my area, that I grew up with, became football stars or boxers or whatever. But I remember I co-starred in a movie, Brotherhoods of Justice, with Keanu Reeves. Well, I didn't co-star. I was supposed to be in the movie. So basically, they're going to film me with my car shot or something or whatever. Mm-hmm. I waited there. I was working in the glass shop back then, learning the glass trade as a glazier. I told my boss I was going to take off early, and I got there at 6. Waited in this little tent. It was getting dark. It was this time, October, November. So it was kind of, get dark. It got dark earlier. But anyway, I'm sitting there. I'm waiting. I'm thinking I'm going to be a part of a movie and whatever. And they said, "Okay, get in your cars." So we had our Impala. That Impala. So you lower it. We do Lori's team. And we went by. I got 3 seconds in that video. It was my car going down Main Street. I sat there all night from 6 to 6 in the morning, and I got a check from the movie producers. I don't remember who it was, Universal, whatever, for $50 for the whole night. Never met Keanu Reeves. Don't even know if I'm in the credits, but I can say, hey, I was in the movie that Keanu Reeves made or whoever,
Yeah.
But $50 for the whole night.
Big spenders, huh?
I think I was only making $175 a week anyway. The last trade back then in the early 80s.
Well, they probably get a lot of people do it for free just so they could say they were in a movie or whatever.
Right, right. And a couple of people I knew, they're supposed to be lower. I was like, "Hey, what's up, Holmes? What are you doing in our territory?" So they got part of the movie. I didn't get nothing. I just got some free meals, a lot of Coke, Pepsi, whatever you wanted, and $50 for my whole night. So I thought, hey, I'll take the $50 and go eat somewhere,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can say I was in a movie, Have you ever heard of Disembodied Voices? This is the show here.
No,
it's on Paraflix. Kelly Schutz, she's a good friend of ours too. We met her a couple of years back. I don't watch Paraflix, and I don't like watching any of my podcasts I do. It's just me. But she asked us to be on there. I think it was last year. It aired in May. We did it in December, and then it aired in May. But I tell you the truth, I have yet to watch it. But it's on Paraflix because you can get a 3-day free trial and check it out. But we did that one last year from right here in our room, and it's supposed to be on one of them shows over there. So I'll have to check it out one of these times. Do these shows and I don't even watch them. I guess I'm still bitter for that $50 I got for all night waiting for Keanu Reeves to pop up.
That would do it.
Yeah. So you ever get out this way at all, or around Minnesota or Wisconsin? Or?
I worked out there for about 6 months. I stayed in Hastings.
Oh, my old stomping ground.
April's old stomping ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us that we all rented a house. 4 guys that chipped in together to rent a house there in Hastings. I was working at a refinery. It's called Flint Hills.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was working there.
Huh. Yeah,
I'd like to get out there. Maybe I can come out this summer and go out with you guys.
For sure. Awesome. The people, the farmer there, They're really nice people. They say we don't want like 20 people out here, but you know, if you bring a couple with you, we don't mind. And
What?
they're really nice, really nice. I mean, we went out there. I mean, if you're over here and they're having a doings, you're welcome to go over there and they'll deep fry anything. You want to throw that dead rat that creature had, they'll fry that up too.
There you go.
I don't know what all they had. They had. I told April, it might be my mom's side. You know, they're all hillbillies. They'll leave the food out, and have flies on it, but it tastes good. So
Yeah.
they still walk. They train hawks to go get the rabbits, and they walk around. Have peach orchards out there in Modesto, California. And they walk around with. Well, this was back in the '70s at least. Walk around barefoot. You know, they still
That's
might
what
be
I
doing
did
it. I don't
too.
know.
Yep.
But yeah, they're really nice people, down to earth, and a lot of the farmers all come around there, and I keep hearing more stories, and that's good. You know,
Yeah, that's real good.
it's a really happening area, and the surrounding area. And you know, I've been up north a lot. This year we're going to try to get something going. Me and Dan, maybe one or two of the Sea Squatchers, and a couple other people maybe try to go up to northern Minnesota, maybe Chippewa National Forest, or you know, somewhere up in that vicinity, and where there's a lot of reports. And just you know, spend a weekend out there and see what we can find. You know, do some research. Good old boots on the ground, as they call it.
Yeah.
But
Well, I talked to Dan a few times online. You know, I've never met him in person, but just talking to him online, and I said he seems like a pretty cool guy. I'd like to have a beer with him sometime. So now I know to get Spotted Cow when I come up
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Spotted Cow is the
That-
deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's only like an hour and a half from me, even though I like the area. I always thought, God, I live by the ocean. I go out back because it's a town of 550 people. You look out the front of my it's a small house, 2 bedrooms. It was a 3 bedroom. We changed basement, but look at my front yard. It looks like a little house community. But you go in the backyard, there's nothing but acres of fields, a road, and then a bunch of ponds and a state park. So it looks, you're in 2 different areas, it looks like. So it's really nice. So I get corn about 12 foot from my property line, and it's scary when that stuff gets 10 foot at night and you're sitting out back in my swing, and hear rustling, you know, because them things could probably, these creatures or beings or humans, whatever, they can utilize that. Ain't that one? I had a deer pop up once. It looked at me, sniffed, and it ran back away.
Or Dogman.
Or Dogman. There was a Dogman report north of us, my backyard where the corn is. But out by the corn, a friend of mine, he was a manager of a store, and he had seen something like that werewolf or whatever it was, as he would say, run across the road about 7 foot tall, go down, stand up by the corn, went down the ditch, came back and looked at him and just snarled at him. And he said he couldn't believe what he was seeing. This guy did not believe in any of this. He didn't believe in UFOs, ghosts. He'd laugh at you. But when he seen that, he pulled me aside. Yeah, I even had him come out and tell April the story, you know.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know what it was, but it was on 2 legs, and it looked like a dog running upright. The legs were kind of bent, you know, like a dog would. And it had long arms like claws, really muscular, not like your Bigfoot you claim, and almost like a lion mange with a hair, but it had a long snout with teeth and red glowing eyes. And I told him, whereabouts was this again? He goes, about a half mile from Rice Lake State Park, and Rice Lake State Park is only 3.5 miles from my backyard. So I'm like, oh, sure, tell me that when the corn's up, so I can go back and have a beer out back and be staring at that all night. But yeah, that's interesting too. So, you know, between us hearing something run over there, finding weird stuff, this guy over here, and then about an hour south of us is where our research area is, down by Spring Valley. So again, it's private property, so nobody's out there. In fact, when we go out there camping, there's nobody out there but us. Every night in summer, like clockwork, between 9:30 and 10, them coyotes go off in different directions. They got different mounds, and they're howling. Last year we had the coyotes, and they're usually whimper and howl, but then we had a real strong, I think I sent you that video. It was a real dragged out, like, whoa. It's like a coyote, but a big coyote or something, or a dog man or something. I don't know what that. It was a loud howl, but it sounded like a coyote, but it sounded louder than any coyote I ever heard before. And it went off kind of, you hear the coyotes whimpering, and then you hear that howl. And it was really weird. And it kind of got us a little spooked.
Yeah, it did.
Because we were out there and we had just got back from, you know, we'll go out, we'll camp, and then we'll walk out, you know, about As soon as it gets dark, we'll walk out a little bit for a little bit, come back. Then we'll go out again about midnight for a little bit and come back. And then we'll just monitor the camp. I'm the only goofy one that walks down there by myself at 4 a.m. and tries to go see what I can get a camera, see everything. I ain't doing that no more. I'll make sure I have someone with me.
Well,
Yeah.
I waited for you, and then like, you know what, we're going down there.
I know one time this last year too, we were sitting there and we seen lights, like little balls of lights swirling around the trees, about 100 foot above, then it would come down, just weird. And I thought, is there a blue light special or Kmart around here or some kind of weird lights? Shouldn't be. There's nothing out behind us, just woods. I go, well, what the heck? So I walked down a little ways and I kept seeing them, but the more I walked down, it seemed like they would leave. They would kind of go with me away. And I was like, that is weird. And then the deeper we got in the canopy, I couldn't really see them because the forest gets thicker there. The canopy does. So, and I tried to film it with my phone, but it wouldn't pick it up. But it was weird. So that property's got all kinds of strange stuff. And I know that they don't like going down there at night. And now that I've been down there with them a lot, they still won't go down unless I'm there. They'll go down with me. They said they always had the feeling of being watched. And I did bring out a little recorder voice. I do a little paranormal too on the side. The main thing's Bigfoot. But I got a bunch of ghost hunting equipment here. And I brought a little voice recorder and we were just asking questions. There was an old tree there. It's kind of coming apart now because it had tornado damage a few times. And this tree looks like it's been around, from way back when, many, many moons ago. And I started asking questions. And I go, do you know who's with us here? Can you say one of our names? And the guy's name's Adam that we go out with. And all of a sudden you hear a female voice go, Adam. And I had the voice recorder and the voice, whatever, that little AM radio that goes, and he goes, Adam, I forgot the name of him. And he looked at me and he's got one prosthetic leg, so he can't really run real well, but he can hobble. He goes, did that just say my name? I said, yeah. He goes, and he's a big guy, goes, ooh, and he started walking a little faster up that hill. And
quick,
we were out in the woods, but he was shocked by that, That was last year. Now this year, just about a month ago, not even that, a month and a half.
Yeah.
He said he was going to bed and he sleeps upstairs in an old farmhouse. And he said he went to, peek out when he went to bed, just looking around, towards his brother's shop down below. And he said there was a lady with a white dress on just sitting there by his deck. He has a big, deck out back. And then she looked up at him and I go, what'd you do? He goes, I closed my eyes and I shook my head and I looked again. She was gone. I go, you're kidding me. I go, maybe it's that girl that said Adam to you. And he goes, yeah. And he said, you too, over the phone. And he goes, I don't know. He goes, but I don't know. I don't even want to tell my mom. I'll tell you because I know you're into that. But I don't know.
There's been some weird stuff.
There's some weird stuff out there.
Yeah.
Lights flickering. A lot of Bigfoot reports, down the road, that weird dogman or hellhound, whatever they call it.
Hearing voices.
But I do in my research down there, once in a while I'll bring out some paranormal equipment to see what I catch, But yeah, we spent almost 2 months clearing out an area to camp, so it's really nice. And we got a temporary porta pooper. We just bury it when we're done, But there's plenty of land to bring a shovel and bury it. Nobody's gonna know. They go, fling it out in the forest there. I said, no, I'll just bury it. It's in I got the biodegradable. We'll just bury it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very interesting place. It's cool, nice trails, a lot of wildlife. Even the new place in Wisconsin where we've been going, I got to research that a little more. I've only been over there twice, but that looks very promising. But La Crosse, up where Dan lives, he lives way up on a hill, but around that area, oh my God, is that beautiful. I took a drone, had one of my cheap drones, it's called a E-T, and I call it the E-Chit. But it works pretty good. But I use that one just in case it takes off on me, because I don't want to lose my DJI because it works really well. But now that I bought 2 of these Adams, that thing is going to be one that I could throw up, and I'm pretty sure it'll never leave me. It'll never disappear on me. It looks pretty fail safe. It's a great drone. Like I said, I'll send you a picture when we're done here. But it's one of the drones that I think it's better than a DJI Mini Mav. I really do. I got
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's going to be great for me when we do go out certain areas. I can fly right over, and especially if you want to look down for structures, or you might find something right away. You never know.
I don't know if I ever shared this howl I recorded with you. Did you ever hear it?
I don't think so. I don't think you ever sent one to me.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here. It's on SoundCloud. Let's see. Oh, I think I can pull it up this way. Yeah,
Oops.
here we go.
Hold on, let me. Wait. There you go. I hit the button by accident.
Okay, let me see if I can share this. I don't know if I have to share it this way or not, but see if you can hear it. Hopefully, I never tried this, so we'll see if it works or not. Where is it? Right here. Okay. Now you can see it. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I'm going to hit play on here. It takes about 30 seconds before you hear the howl.
Okay.
I'll just tell you real quick what was going on. It's a place in Eastern Ohio. It's called Old Stone Church Trailheads, Wayne National Forest. It's a horseback trail, and they ride ATVs on it from April until October. They only have it open for April to October, but it's open year round if you just are hiking.
Okay.
So we go there, and they got a gate across, so you can't drive back. So we had to park at the gate and walk way back in there. We were the only ones there. It was, supposed to be closed unless you're hiking. And so we hiked way back in there. It's primitive camping. And we're laying in the tent. This is right around midnight. We're laying in the tent. We were looking to buy a house, and we were looking at. My wife was reading listings to me, and I had a recorder that was it's a Zoom audio recorder.
Yep.
It was about 100 feet away from the tent. So let me see if you can hear this now when I play it. We'll try it. Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
I did.
I
did.
I paused. Well, I paused it. I just want to make sure you were hearing it. Okay.
Yeah.
I can hear. Yeah, I can hear the audio. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay, there was one sound you might have heard just now. I don't know what that was. We didn't hear it at the time, but I heard it when I listened back. I don't know what that was, but we're almost to the howl. I paused it to make sure you could hear it. Here we go. It's almost got an architectural type of bungalow.
Wow.
And it keeps going. There's coyotes reacting.
Mm-hmm.
You hear some dogs going on.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It is.
Yeah, my dog was in the tent with us when it happened.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
He was asleep, and then when that howl started, he sat up real quick and looked at me. I guess
Right.
trying to see how I was responding, and then he just
Well,
laid back down and went to sleep.
that's a trip. That's pretty wild.
It is.
You hear that coyotes and you hear some dogs barking too, but that scream
Yeah,
is
yeah,
how close you
yeah.
think that was.
It sounded pretty close, but it was so loud. Well, where we were at, where the campground is, there's like the road where you come up to the gate. The road curves around the campground and goes up a hill. So the campground is like down in a ravine area, and it was just like echoing through there. We really couldn't even tell for sure what direction it was. It just
Right.
seemed like it was coming from everywhere. It was so loud.
Huh.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you? What time of night was this again?
That was about midnight, and then we heard it again. Not didn't sound quite like that, but we heard it again. Uh, that was probably like after 1, but it was farther away then. It was quite a bit farther.
Huh. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like I said, I sent you a little clip of coyotes going off, and then you hear this like a large coyote or something, and then you hear the coyotes again. But it was pretty loud. I don't know if I sent it to you today or not, but it was louder than most of the coyotes I've heard out there the last couple of years. So I don't know what it, unless there's a coyote that stray wolf, which I don't think there's any wolves down here.
Well,
It's
not
kind of
supposed to be
wild.
wolves in Ohio. Supposedly there hasn't been wolves since the 1850s, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, it's not common, but yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's some pretty great that's a great catch you got on audio there.
Well, when it happened, I looked up every coyote thing I could find a howl on YouTube and wolves both. I looked them both up, and this is a lot lower pitch. They're all like really yappy, kind of high pitched sounding.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. I'd
I
really
think
like to know.
sounds like if a dog man's supposed to be real, that's probably what it sounds like.
Yeah, because it does kind of sound more canine to me.
It does.
Me too.
I mean, it could be a squatch if that's what it is too. I mean, there is, but yeah, you're right. It sounds more of a canine, or maybe that's what maybe Bigfoots have a different variety. Maybe they kind of look canine, more like a baboon. So some of them. I don't know. I think that sound more canine, like a dog man or whatever they call them. All I know is it was very loud.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I got it cranked up. I got it amplified so you could hear it better, but
Yeah.
It was loud, definitely being
Right.
there.
I'm gonna have to find a good sound an app with I can enhance some of my sounds
Yeah.
from some of my recordings. Some of them I've had and I know I've heard them, but I've had some low recordings of them. So when you play them back, you can hear it, but it's real low. So I need to kind of find an app to do that with, which I'm still searching for.
Well, there's what's it called? I have it on my computer. Audacity.
Okay.
You can get that for free. But
Okay.
there's another one that I like even better. I think it's called NCH Wave Pad Editor. I think that's what it's called. It's free. I mean, you can pay and get a lot of the features that you won't get on the free version, but you can use it for free and do quite a bit with it.
Right.
That's cool.
You can amplify it.
I'll have to try that. Audacity, you say?
Audacity, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to remember that. I got a pin here, which I usually have, but if I need it, I can always ask for the link. But I think I remember that one.
That's what I used to amplify that was Audacity.
Okay. I'll have to try that and then amplify some of mine. I was on say what we use is I'm into budget friendly stuff because I don't like spending a lot of money, especially gets broke. And I'm not a millionaire either, but we take I got my back here. This is my room where I keep a lot of my equipment, but I use a megaphone it's got Wi-Fi, so you can take the Bigfoot howls and sounds, off that app,
Oh, right.
add it to my megaphone. And I've actually played that. Now I know people say, "Do you know what you're doing out there? Do you know what you're broadcasting to them? Maybe that's like a war call or something." I said, "No," and I thought about that. But once in a while, I'll use it, and it echoes out there when you're in a, if you ever come up here, I'll show you our area because there's a lot of valleys and hills and creeks, and you can hear it echo when you play it. You hear it about 4 or 5 more times going across the valley and the hills. But I play that a couple times, and sometimes they'll rile up the coyotes. Sometimes they just go quiet.
Huh.
But it's interesting, I don't know what it says. I don't know. It comes with like 12 or 15 different howls and Sierra sounds and all that. You've probably seen that app, the Bigfoot app.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I have blasted a few. Mainly the long, dragged out howl. I do the Ohio howl. I didn't play down the mumble jumble, the samurai chatter, because I don't need someone talking back to me. Then I'd be freaked out.
I was watching a live where these guys were out live doing like a broadcast. They were out in the woods and they were broadcasting it live, and somebody was telling them, say this Native American word. It kept saying to yell that word out, and people in the chat, they were saying, "Well, I don't know if I'd say that. What's that word mean? We don't know what it means." I said, "It means I challenge you to a fight to the death."
Oh.
I don't know what it meant. But you don't know what you're saying when you say stuff like that.
No, my dad was Apache, and my mom was Irish and Cherokee, so a little more Irish and Cherokee. She's about a quarter Cherokee, and dad was full-blooded Apache. So, I guess I get a lot of his traits. He always take me out in the woods. I wish I learned everything, because by the time I got interested in what he did, picking different flowers and whatever he did, the herbs and stuff, about 15, them girls looked a lot more promising than that flower over there that you can eat and cure yourself with. So I didn't really pay attention. I would like to go fishing with him, but he'd always tell me, he goes, "There's no white man can do what we do. We go out the hills, we live. They die, they come out here. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to eat. They don't know what to pick." But he was born in 22, but yeah, he served in World War II. He was very knowledgeable though. A very smart man, but I wish I'd learned. I learned a little bit off him. I mean, a lot, but I didn't learn all that little different remedies, And I don't catch poison though. Right now, I've been battling eczema. I don't know where I got that from. I take a lot of steroids all my life. And a lot of my doctors say, "You're lucky you haven't got it yet." He goes, "All these years," because that goes hand in hand with asthmatics and a lot of the pills. But it's been horrible. It's going everywhere. It started off light and it's all over the body. So I got to go to the Rochester Mayo Tuesday to see if there's anything they can do for it, because when I'm camping, that can interfere, because if I'm itching all the time, I got to put creams and bathe. Over here out in the woods, you don't do that much. So that might be an issue, but I'm going to try to get that licked in the butt, because I love being out in the woods, and I hope because of this, I don't have to be somewhere where I got to be by a camper or a campground, because I like to get out there and just stay.
Right. That's the way to do it. Get way out there.
I know Tammy from the Sea Squatchers, we went out 4 or 5 years ago to Rainy Lake and boat out about a half hour. It's a half mile from the Canadian border, way up north. And we camped out on an island for 4 or 5 days, and that was fun. And towards the end of that, they had, brought 2 boats, one full of wood. So we had, and I told them I wanted to camp out away from everybody. So they kind of were in this little area. It's on an island, so there's nobody but us. And then island would look like British Columbia to me, but then about 200 feet in, I'm by a game trail camped way back in the middle of nowhere, back out away from everybody. I'm like, "Really that far?" He goes, "Well, you want to be away from everybody." I said, "Not that far."
Well, you
So I said, and it's really wood. It sounds out to, and we partied. We like to indulge. And the first night, we're all hanging out, and I don't know, about 12:31. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed. See you tomorrow. I said, "Yep." So I walked back that dark little game trail to our tent, and I have these little portable lanterns and lights up so I can see.
And it was drizzling too.
It was drizzling. They had put double tarps up so we don't get all wet, and it did rain a little bit. A couple of the first 2 nights, but the first night we were sitting there, and I heard we were just about to get, and it was cold. It wasn't supposed to be that cold. I got down like 36, and I'm getting cold. And I had a little portable pooper I put out back, but I put it inside because I didn't know there's bears around stuff. And I pulled that out of my pooper, and I had one of the little portable buddy heaters with a propane. I brought 4 of them. So I turned that on because it got down about 33 with the wind chill. And I put that in there, and I don't camp out there. That's the coldest I've camped out in. And I turned on that little thing, and I didn't want to tip over, so I braced it with my beer cooler inside the tent in the corner. And it kept us warm, but I didn't want to fall asleep. I just would leave it and kind of catnap, and then I'd get up, turn it off. It'd be good for a little bit, turn it on. About 3:30 in the morning, I just turned it off. I was going to get to bed, and I heard this just like splashing by the water there by the lake.
Mm-hmm.
The lake looked like a sea to me, and there's a lot of little islands. And then I heard something like come up the bank and shake itself off. And what the hell? And then I thought, and I didn't really wake her up. She was kind of starting to doze off. All of a sudden, I heard like footsteps, like, and it could have been a bear or it could have been something else. I don't know. Could have been a Bigfoot. But I heard something creeping up by our tent, and we're laying right at the edge of the corner of that tent where your head's about 10 inches away.
Yeah.
Because we got a pop-up tent, 7x9, just one of the little quick ones you can throw up.
Mm-hmm.
And something walked right around our tent, was creeping around.
It sounded like it was on 2 feet. Though.
Yeah, about 3:30 in the morning. And I go, do you hear that? We were, barely talking. She goes, yeah. And her eyeballs are big, and we got a little dim light in the middle of the tent, just barely on, so you can just see each other barely. And I don't know what it was, but it circled our tent, and then it walked away to the forest. Now, I had a game cam up, so I thought whatever it was, we got it on game cam. Well, out there the next day, didn't see no footprints, seen some scurrying around, walked about, and I went out in the forest, and I put that up too because I forgot at 3 in the morning. It was spooky out there, and there is bears, which is another stupid thing to do. So I went out there, so I went to check my game camera after we all got up, and I told them about it, and they go, I go, you guys have the dog out? Were you guys sure you weren't messing with me? And no, it wasn't us. You sure? No. So I went out to check my game cam, open it up, and see if I can see pictures, and it didn't work. So I checked the button. I go, what the hell? And then I pulled the battery cover. I always pull one battery out so it won't, turn on or anything. I never put the battery in it. I always bring my cameras and I take one out. So when you're traveling, they don't turn on. And then I put it in when I go.
You forgot to put it in.
I forgot to put the battery in, so I didn't catch nothing. So I put the battery in, fixed it. I got something move around the bush a couple nights later. It might have been a bear. I don't know. I couldn't really tell. And I caught people going around, and our friend who had to tie the excess garbage and food up about 20 feet in the air so the bears won't come around with a hoist. But really, back behind my tent, of course, not 300 feet, but didn't catch nothing. That was the first night, too, and I thought, man, what was that? And to this day, it still bugs me. What? It sounded human-like walking around. Yeah, bears can hit each step, but it didn't sound like a bear to me. It just sounded off. But whatever it was, snuck around our tent one time, just hear it walk perfectly real slow, and then creep back off.
Well, that's what Les Stroud talks about, Survivor Man.
Yeah.
So he was camping with his wife. I think she was with him that time. And he heard something come up to the tent, and he said it sounded like it was on 2 feet. He said, he knows the sounds. He's been out so much. He knows the sounds of what something with 4 legs sounds like. And so whatever this was sounded like it was on 2 feet, but he was too scared to poke his head out and look.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was the first time that I've ever had something sound human-like and big and large and snorting out of the water like it was swimming. And shake itself off, and then walk around our tent.
Was that Lake Superior?
No.
It's called Rainy Lake.
Rainy Lake.
Rainy Lake.
Way up north.
We were a half a mile from the Canadian border. In fact, if you walk a trail or take a boat, you can go into Canada, but they catch you, it's not good.
Right.
Even though the lake, there's really no boundary, maybe a little bubbly marker, but if you go across, some people do, but if they catch you, they can. Really
very primitive camping, man.
Yeah, there was just, I think they had one pooper in the middle of the forest on that island they had dug out for everybody to use, and there was no really
running water.
It was just up about 100 feet with trees around it. There was no fence or nothing. You just open it up, and I guess they come out and pump it out once in a while, but other than that, there was no running water, no nothing. Just
water to do
little cabinet. You put your food and lock in, and that's it.
Yeah, that's good kind of camping though. Get
Oh,
out
that
there.
was
That is.
fun. That was really
Until
fun.
something creeps around your tent on 2 feet.
Yeah.
And Tammy had went on. We were in. There was a little cove, and then we were on like a little round island. Which I said, if I show you a spot, it's like a ain't really island goes up to Canada. But she said she had found some structures there that were pretty big and thick looking. They looked like structures on where we park our boats. It's like a little U-shaped cove, and on the other side, they walked around, went to the other side, and we were on the north side, south side of that, and they had found a few things, and I looked interesting. And she was kind of like, you probably heard a bear. I go, no. I go, this was no bear. I go, I know my woods. I've been out. This was no bear. And I've never heard a bear walk around my tent, but I'm sure it wasn't a bear. I thought it was you guys playing a prank. I thought it was them, pranking me or something, me and April sneaking around trying to scare us.
Yeah.
But it sounded a little bigger than a person, though. So it just was, it was freaky. I'm not kidding you.
That was the funnest time though we had. I think.
Oh yeah, and I was that's what I was gonna get at is I forgot what got off track, but I'm Inspector Gadget, so I have a couple Bluetooth radios. My phone worked. I have XM radio, and they last 10 hours. I have solar rechargeable packs that charge them during the day or play them at night, and so one's always charged. My phone's always charged. Everything's always charged. My FLIR, all my small stuff, all my Inspector Gadget stuff. So I bet you don't got a shower. So I whip out of my tent, unfold it with a little nozzle. I we'll go fill it up to the lake and we'll tie it up. I got a shower. She goes, you the man. I've been here 4 days and my hair's sticky. So she put that on Facebook. She goes, man, JD and April, they're the man. They brought the shower. I got to wash my hair and there was enough there to even take a shower for 3 people.
Yeah.
It was heavy. You got to fill it up. I think it was like 5 gallons. You got to hang it on a tree, which I snapped the first branch. Figured getting 2 of us picking that up and trying to hang it up.
We got it going though.
My bad shoulder, the overhead's hard for me now after having shoulder surgeries, but it was heavy. And then you just lay that black bag out. I filled up with the lake water, lay it out there all day, let the sun hit it. Oh yeah.
Oh, it was awesome.
By evening, you got a shower. I washed my hair real quick and then just my face, did a little shaving, slapped my face. A little hose. You've seen them. You just pull the hose and it worked really good. She goes, what else do you got? Well, I brought my portable pooper that hides my little heater in there. So you guys were cold last night. I wasn't.
You have an inflatable flat screen too?
Yeah, that would be next. I do got a blanket that unfolds with a mini projector that's blurry, but it does work.
Oh yeah. There you
go.
go.
So I mean, I got some of them gadgets. I got everything. Don't matter. But that Atom drone, oh my God, that is so nice. I mean, it is.
I like that. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I got it sitting in arm's length if you want to take a peek at it.
Yeah, let me see it.
Yeah, I'll show it to you real quick. Oh. Right here with all my other drones.
Careful.
Now I got this is the version with 1 battery. Right now, but this is called the Atom SE. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
It looks just like a DJI, and they are so stable in the air. The feed is perfect. What I like about it too is the DJIs. Their controllers are different. These are different controllers, and it's a lot easier to control, hook up, and what have you. But I got the battery. I got a battery in it, but it's similar to the. There you go. It's similar to the.
Yeah, it looks a lot like it. Yeah.
I mean, it's got everything that I can show to you open. What's this other way? It's about the same size. There you go. I would go back with DJI, same camera. Now they make one with a 3-axis gimbal. This one has like a little rubber gimbal, but it's got a 12 megapixel Sony on it. Plus, it's got anti-stabilization. So when you fly it, there is no wiggle on the feet. It is just like a gimbal. And the controller.
It amazes me how that.
The controller. There it is. The controller I like because it fits I have a bigger, small phone. I don't have to take my case off, so you can just bring it in and hook it, and it adjusts perfect. So they're really nice. Like I said, you get these for really cheap.
It works with Litchi with that app. Do you have that app?
I don't know. I don't think I do. I don't think I have that app. It's called Litchi.
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 LITCHIE.
No, I don't have that. What does that app do, or what is it?
It's well, I know they make it for DJI, and I didn't know if they use other, but it has more features. It has more features than DJI's Fly does.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never
It'll,
use that. I just use their standard one, and it works good for me. So
you
I
can
never
do
really.
tracking, like you can have it in the air and track your car, drive down the road, and it'll follow you, things like that. With the
Okay,
Mavic Mini, with the Mavic Mini, you
really?
can do that.
No,
Yeah.
I never used that. I'll have to try it. That's new to me. But yeah, I was really impressed with this one though. This one is amazing. Just put it back. But yeah, if you get a chance, just YouTube the Atom SE, and they got the one with the gimbal. The only difference is the one with the gimbal. Of course, it's a really steady feed. This one, when you turn, it don't wobble or anything, but it has like it's like if you're in an airplane and you get that little bank, like FPV feeling. But that don't bother me. But if you get the gimbal one, it'll be just like your DJI. It's about 100, 150 more. And the flight time, this is 25 and a half minutes. I timed it. On the cold weather, it might get a little less. But the other one actually goes 31 in about a half minute. So it's a little bit of 6.5 minute flight time. Well, 6 minute flight time. A little longer than what we have here, 25 and a half minutes. So, but
It
I'm
amazes
happy.
me how the DJI Mini, it'll be like this when it's windy out, and the video looks like it's on a tripod. It's crazy how it can do that.
Yeah, they got a gimbal on them, so they float around with the feed, which is awesome. But the Atom, again, if I had to compare them both, if I don't have the gimbal one, but I can imagine what it's going to be like. But if I had to compare them to the Mini, I think the Atom beats it out. Now, the one with the gimbal just came out 3 months ago. This Atom SE came out about a year ago. And everybody, yep, 4K. And the Mini has 2.7K. And everybody was complaining to Potenzic. That's the name of the brand, the Potenzic Atom. They go, look, Potenzic, just put a gimbal on it. You got something that rivals DJI, might be better. Well, 3 months ago, they came out with one, and everybody was just so happy. I mean, it's a good budget-friendly drone, that you don't have to, and it gets great feed. But the feed on it, when I fly it out, is amazing. It goes 13,500 feet, I believe.
That's what we need, because that'll make DJI come down on their price. They start getting competition like that.
Right. I mean, brand new, these are $299 and $399. Refurbished, you're looking at right now. The guy, the buyer I'm buying from, he's been giving them to me. I got one of them for $108 because I bought one from him. I'll give you a deal, $20 off. Said, send it to me. So you can't beat a $108 drone like that. I mean,
no,
I told her now I got two, so I can be a little crazy with one because I'm always worried about losing it.
Yeah.
So now I can push the limits. But I had it out in our research area. I got out to about 17.5, 1,750 feet. And it did not break feed. It did not lose it. I looked, barely see it, and I turned my eye, and I don't know where it's at. But you just go by your phone, turn around, and you see the farmway in the distance. And I pointed straight down where our research area is, and then down by the river. And I was actually past the river, and you could see really clear what's down there. I mean, if there was a Bigfoot crossing the river or running away, you'd catch it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this thing has sports mod, too. It'll go about 25 miles an hour. So I wouldn't use it for doing research. So I went on the mod. I got it now. So it just cruises over so you can catch it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. I mean, I love flying drones.
I do, too.
I got up here, I got some old 1960s and 70s gas airplanes that I built, and I just let them hang because I just love them. In fact, if I just turn you around for a minute, you can probably see one up here.
Yeah.
And then one up here. But I built a lot of them. And I don't
see the Starship Enterprise behind you, too.
I did some models. I got ST's rockets. I'm a little bit of everything. Oh, my phone's on 5%. I forgot to charge it. So
yeah, we're at 2.5 hours right now. So
okay.
I guess we could probably wrap it up, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I
it's been
enjoyed
a
talking
pleasure.
to you.
Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
pleasure. We'll have to do it again sometime, and yeah, see if you can get down here and visit. If not, I'll have to get up there and check out the Ohio conference too.
Yeah, come out to Salt Fork.
Yep, I
That'd
just
be
got to
cool.
find out where to go, where to stay, and whereabouts, what kind of motels or what's closest to the area.
You can stay in the lodge, but you got to get you. It's probably booked already. That place fills up so quick.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to get some information. If I stay close by there, I mean, it'd be good. I was going to go out there last year, but we just couldn't make it. So maybe this year. But yeah, we got a spare bedroom. It's just me and her. My boy lives down the road. So if you ever come down this way, get the air mattress, hang out, and then you can go down camping with us.
Yeah, that'd be great. Love to do that.
Then I'd
See
like
if
to
we
go check
get
out.
Dan to come out too.
Yep, we'll
Oh,
do that.
yeah.
And then go check out your
Get some
area too.
spotted cow. And
Spotted cow. There
Oh,
you
yeah.
go.
there we go.
All right. Well, nice chatting with you. And I don't know where we can find the feed at, but just send me a link and we'll go from there.
I'll put it on the Midnight Squatchers.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice meeting you and hope to run
Nice
into you
meeting you.
sometime soon.
Nice meeting you.
Yep.
Keep it
Take care, man.
squatchy.